Sila Mimi, wala ko kuha sila GR, nag-retire na sila, si Mimi, si GR.
Lapit na, sir. Nakasulod sila, sir. Oy, ganinang morning.
Nakasulod sila.
Opo.
Kaya na ko, wala na sila ganahe, kaya mo retire na sila. Ikapoy na sila pagtudlo. Para 63 pag hapon. Basta 1 o'clock mag-start ta.
Mag-streaming lang daw sila, sir, kay basig mapilian sila sa Q&A portion.
Pastila. Apil manggani ko, kapila ko naka-recite be, katulog. Kaya tayo manggani ko.
Recitation.
Si Mercury, kali.
Ay, Dok.
Oo.
Naano man ako mga kauban, Dok. Nasunod na. Standby ako mga kauban.
Sunod, pasuluran na sila para kuan.
Oh, sunod na sila. Gipicturean nila ang ilang kuan, ilang monitor.
Okay. Kini si Mariel Aradillo, sa kuha ba ng estudyante sa high school. Nag-history major po daw ni siya kay
Idol.
Na-influence na ako siya.
Bote yan.
Idol, Sir Lito.
Gani man si Mary from ano siya ka o ba ni siya ni kuan katong lalaki gud nga teacher nga gwapo po sa Ibaldumar nga values teacher po si Mark
Sir Mark.
Si Mark Arisgado, sir.
Arisgado Mark.
Wala nag-react si Mark. Wala pa siguro.
68 na. Wala pa ba yan human among mankum, oy?
Basic.
Hi. Thank you, Marjorie, ha. Pag wala nag-pandemic, Marjorie, ina imong anak, ha, mga duta. Tapos ato ko ta sa area ni Erlin sa iyang maigsuon. Kay katong kay Erlin, kuanto siya, murag ka ng suburbs, ba dili siya kaayo nasa center. At islami dito daw ang mga forest, ang mga falls. Mura lang daw kayo pagkaon dito, mga isda.
Oh, wow. Barato raman ang gastusin daw dito, sir. Barato ang living.
Pero kung dito sa Erlin banda, mas mura pag dito kay mas mahal man sa Bangkok, gamay.
Kay mag-swing kay 1 hour and a half ride.
From Bangkok.
Opo. Chunburi.
Panganhaon ta na puhon kung maka-relax ta ba gamay.
Laag-laag
man ang pandemic mo.
Gani kami ni Erling kapila naging may plano-plano lin mga to na ay nako. Naapta na di ba Erling naapta na ng pandemic lin no? Naapta na ng pandemic. Ini digit to plano nga palakwon ta. Sige ra.
Yes, sir.
Okay ra oy.
Puhunan. Ibaan din na atong speaker kay taas daw basig taas kayo atong expectation.
Gani nga dili oy. Paminaw rata. Gani man. Buotan kay siya lin no. Kuan ang mga Thailander ko unfriendly kaayo no. Very friendly.
Very friendly. Hadlok siya kay wala sila na anad sir pareha sa atoan na taga-ag topic pagkaugma dayon.
Oh, ana man ta.
Sila dapat tagaan din sila time sir.
Lagi.
Pero nag-accept man gyapon siya sa invitation.
Oo, okay raman siya kaayo.
Oo.
76 na. 10 minutes more to go. We will start na April. Mag-retouch na ka April. Uy, lagi si Eileen Torres. Kuan ni siya?
Pinapasok namin, sir.
Taga-asa ni siya nga division, day.
From Zimbabwe.
Wala, uy. Murag 10 years na niyo nagkita aning bayhanan eh.
Ayaw daw siya i-kick out, Ma'am April. Ayaw daw i-kick out, ha?
Kay history ba yun niya? Ambot na rin yung bayhanan ni siguro. Ay, Joyce, basi na in love na ni Minyo na ba ni si Eileen?
Ganun, sir. Ganun po.
Hapit na, hapit na. Almost there.
10 years na niyo nagkita aning bayhanan eh.
Zimbabwe na siya, sir.
Jaser, kilala niyo mo ni siya, Jaser, si Eileen Torres?
Zimbabwe na siya, sir. Sa South Africa, Nubia.
Or Zambia? Nag-Christian oh.
Searching. Searching, sir.
Ay, searching pa dahil siya. Iampo na lang nato ni si Eileen, si Juan, Joyce, Jason. Bago matapos ang kalibutan, nakapain na siya partner.
Zambia.
Eight minutes more. Ang taga-Singhay, nakasunod ka na taga-Singhay. Ay, ako gichat ba yan yung district supervisor? I chat your district supervisor kanina nga wala may participants. Erlin, wala pa na human ang Mancom, Erlin. Nakadungog ka sa ni SDS.
Yes, sir.
Ano sa day na issue?
Lahat, sir. Oy, nalibog po ko. Ano makaising SDS?
Tanawa mo lang nagyaw-yaw ba sa SDS.
Yaw man siya, sir. Marang hot man kaay siya panahon na.
Gani, as in.
Stress.
Oy, kasi ang imong teacher, naman na si Richelyn, ang imong teacher nga naming tingog.
Sir, ipa-join na ako.
Very good. Sayang man kayo ng opportunity.
Yes.
Pati si Presi nimo, gahapon na siya, karon na siya. Nani siya duha ka certificate.
Oo. Encourage na ako para sayang manggod at least sa ilang mga gamiton magamit nila puhon.
Portfolio nila, tapos malay mo,
Malay natin.
yeah, time will come na among gid na kay mang-retire na biyata.
Ayo po.
Paloyan sa Ginoo. Ako ay planning to retire talaga 12 years from now. Mag 60 years old naman ko. So, tama-tama na.
Tama.
Ay para makakatkat pa kong eroplano, Mark. Makaadto pa kong Holy Land. Gusto bigyan ko matug Holy Land. Erlin pa rin kamuti gid na kay para makasabay unta ta didtulin sa Jordan, sa Israel o sa Egypt.
Di ba mga
150 man good siya, 150,000 ang 9 days of 3 countries na kuan. Pero sulit na ba kay maka-renew ta sa atong, di ba, our brothers na mga sisters, the Muslim brothers and sisters, di ba, maadtugay silang Makkah.
Oo.
Kita pa, maadtugid ka kung natay chance.
God.
Yeah, ato ta Mark, si Mark, okay, traveler ni si Mark, okay rin ni siya kay paspas mo lihok. Pag ingon dagan, na dagan dayon sulod sa eroplano. Ana. Okay, di ba pag travel ta di ba magyaya di ba Lin kay lagyo kay mga airport ang mga gate. Ang dagat taas pag ikaw baktason.
Kilometro ang gate.
May ang train station ay nako, ang bus station ay nako. As in Jude. Jeremy Abande. Uy, naana si Jeremy. Nag-online class siya.
Nagasulod pa ang uban, sir.
Oo. Pero hapit na ang time mag-start ito. 5 minutes more na lang. 5 minutes more to go.
Yes, sir.
Sige, naka-80 na.
Wala man tayo evaluation gahapon, sir, dito, no?
Naanalin na open na. Ay J sir, tagay si ma'am sa evaluation. J sir, kay si Felix na close daw niya. Na po siya gisend nga karon nga adlaw for our evaluation sa atong webinar.
Oo, sir.
Daw niya.
Yes, sir. Isa na.
Na po siya gisend nga karon nga adlaw for our evaluation.
Nasa GC, Ma'am Berlin. Isa na ako sa GC.
Nakita ko na, sir. Thank you.
Pril, ready na Pril ang slide, Pril, para sa 3 minutes na lang. Si Ayan.
Sir Ayan, please 50% na, sir.
Gapahan ni mo, Ma'am April, oy.
Of course, from
Ano?
Nigeria.
Mura siya ka na nagpasap-sap, bakit nag-slim siya.
Ani, dahil ko na siya, sir.
Alam ka to sinumpalik.
Cool, Ma'am Aileen.
Opo. Naami diri sa school, ma'am, o nag-start habang naga-webinar.
Very good. Kanang ko ana siya, multitasking.
Walang guro.
Matouch na ba ko, ana? Nanay ka na, Emily. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, time check. It's 12:58, and in
Let's
attendance,
start na.
we are 85 in attendance, and I do hope that everyone is watching from our live streaming. Hello, good afternoon. We are back on the second part of this webinar, and we are about to meet our third speaker for today. Okay, so once again, I welcome you all to this webinar for effective distance education for social science teachers during turbulent times. No, grabe ang word na turbulent. Okay? Grabe talaga ang turbulent na ating nararanasan ngayon because of this pandemic. But we are hoping that this pandemic will end soon. In God's grace. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce to you our third speaker. Okay, so as you can see, nandiyan na ang kanyang picture sa ating presentation. Very young, very promising, very kind. Okay. Our third speaker is an environmental economics research unit faculty of environmental management at Prince of Songkhla University, Hat Yai, Songkhla, Thailand, to talk about effective teaching and learning of environmental economics, science, and management during pandemic. Fresh from Thailand, help me welcome Dr. Saowalak Roongtawanreongsri. Good
Wow.
afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, dedicated teachers around Philippines. It's nice to be able to come and meet you here during this webinar. Okay, I am actually very honored to be meeting and sharing with you the experience of teaching during COVID-19 in Thailand. But first, let me introduce myself a little bit. As you know, my name is Saowalak. I'm a lecturer in Prince of Songkhla University in the city called Hat Yai. Hat Yai is in the south of Thailand. And you know what? Many Filipinos are working here as a teacher because in almost every school in Thailand now, we need teachers that will teach English to our students because, Thai people are not fluent in English. So we need a lot of teachers from overseas to come and help us teach our younger students to learn English and speak better. Okay. In Hadyai city that I live, we have a fair amount of fellow Filipinos, and I know some of them, and we become a good friends. And I'm so glad that today I have a privilege to be able to meet new colleagues from where a lot of my friends has come from. Okay, so therefore, a big thank you to Dr. Little and the organizers of this webinar to invite me and giving me this great opportunity. Okay, today I'm going to share with you the experience of Thailand during the pandemic about teaching and learning in this unusual time. After my talk, then you can decide whether the approach that we take during the past 8 months, whether it's effective or not. And it is my hope that you would gain something of this talk to apply to your own teaching and make it more efficient. Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, right. So right now we all know that the situation of the COVID-19 has impacted in most every area of our life, and education is also the most important areas that it has been affected. And Thailand also cannot escape this phenomenon. Actually, we were aware of this problem starting in early January. Still, the real effect occurred in March when the number of infected people began to rise, as you see on the slide. And because of the COVID-19 being announced as a pandemic, our government needs to listen to the doctors and public health experts and take the actions necessary to protect citizens. So the Ministry of Education declared all school closures as part of the measures to control the spread of COVID-19 starting from March 18th onwards. I think this is probably similar to the Philippines as well. But during that period, many schools were already on the final exam stage and entering school vacation. So somehow the timing was not too bad for schools and students. However, the big concern came in May as the situation of COVID-19 still did not improve much. And usually our school first semester will start in mid of May. But because of the situation of COVID and the concern for the safety of the citizen, the government really had a hard time deciding whether schools should open at the usual time or should be postponed. The debate over whether Thailand schools should reopen became a great concern during that time, where some people said the children should not be kept out of school for so long. And some, especially those who are in public health organizations, argue that we need to take strict measures because children can easily catch the virus without showing the symptoms and can easily pass the virus on to the elderly members in the family. And if that was the case, then it would not be desirable because the medical facilities are not be sufficient to care for every patient. So finally, our government decided to postpone the opening of the schools from May 18th to July 1st. Let me show you some statistics on the number of schools that would be affected during these school closures. Yeah, as shown on the slide, maybe this one first. Okay. You can see that the schools that would be affected during the school closures was nearly 40,000 schools with 660,000 teachers and nearly 13 million students in Thailand. The numbers of students, these are for only the formal school system as shown on the slide. You see that a little over 50% of the total number are elementary students and lower secondary students. The decision to postpone the school opening put these 13 million students on a hold of learning and gave them an extra month of school break. So this calls for an action to provide education to students even though the school is closed. Okay, and just like what our Thai education minister's famous quote, he said, "School can be halted, but learning cannot." So during this extra 1.5 months, extra 1.5 months with no school, the Ministry of Education created strategies to provide education to the children in the country. Of course, providing education during the COVID outbreak is a challenge for all countries, especially those wishing to improve equity and equality, such as Thailand. Whereas the safety of children and youth needs to be the highest priority in education management, but we cannot let our students stop learning. Therefore, the Ministry of Education came up with strategies to ensure that our students continue to access quality learning effectively and efficiently during the postponement of the school reopening. So these are the 4 strategies, comprises 4 phases. The first phase was the planning and preparing for the later stages. This includes setting up the special center for distance learning during COVID, surveying potential and readiness for distance learning, creating teaching videos for secondary level, collecting existing recorded courses, and preparing newly recorded ones, preparing an online platform, and everything for the distance learning. And so when we enter the second phase, this one we use the 3 ons as our strategies, on air, online, and on site, which I will talk about this in a little more detail later. The third phase is when the school reopens from July the 1st onwards until now. And the last phase, which will occur in April next year, will be the evaluation of what happened during this trial and error time. Okay, I'm going to focus on sharing the experience during these 2 particular phases only. Okay, so when we implementing the distance learning and when the school semester opens. All right, the first one, during the postponements of school opening, the Ministry of Education provided the means of teaching and learning via the 3 ons to enable learners to continue their studies effectively and efficiently. So during May and June were the period of switching to total distance learning. In particular, the nationwide distance learning television via satellite became our on-air strategy and the main solution during the COVID-19 crisis. Okay, this distance learning approach has been arranged since the reign of the late King Bhumibol, who had an excellent vision in bridging the knowledge gap for learners in rural areas. So the country make use of this channel so that to ensure that students can continue their learning. Okay, and there are some options that students and parents can choose to receive the broadcast. For example, the digital TV, the KU band, C band, cable TV, and IPTV. The Ministry of Education combined existing record courses which have been prepared in the past years, and they make use of that with the newly recorded ones. And therefore, during the crisis, Thailand has an opportunity to adopt this approach for underprivileged children and youth nationwide. The second on is the online platform, online learning. 2 main methods that we use: live teaching via online conference programs and e-learning via educational websites. So for live teaching, I think every teacher around the globe become very familiar with them already. We use Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and Facebook Live. And for the educational websites, we have like, as I said before, the distance learning television website that the students can tune in. And they decided the channel for different grade. For example, the elementary or lower secondary levels, they can use DLTV 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for the higher level, they have also different channels. And these websites, I will show you a little bit so that you have the idea of what we're doing. Let me share this one again. Okay, so these are the websites that we provide the distance learning for our children. And as you see, we have different level. And when you click on it, you see the schedule and then the pre-schedule and the archived as well. And each channel will have their own subjects differently. So these are the main solution that we give to our student. Okay, and then come back to our slide. Okay. There are other websites that were designed specifically for the students to learn, like the Digital Education Excellence Platform, or DEEP. This one is designed for lower and upper secondary levels. And we use this as a platform for learning outside classroom, and decide to create tools for accessing knowledge and innovation for teachers also, not only the learners, and the parents and other people, Thai people, can also tune in and learn from this website as well. And on the YouTube channel, this one is also like the DLTV channel. Each level can, instead of watching from the website, they can watching from the YouTube channel as well. And last one, the application on smartphone. This one is just that you can use smartphone application to hook on the courses that they provide on the DLTV. Okay. And the last one that we use during those distance learning, we also have the on-site. This is only for schools with smaller numbers for students, such as international schools or some private schools. For some schools, we create a small group of students at school with a regular assessment to report to the relevant agencies. For example, like international schools, they can still have the on-site teaching, but with strict measures for preventing the COVID spreading. Okay, and the pedagogical approach differently for primary students and for secondary students. For example, for primary students, which is grade 1 to 6, the curricula would be different from that of the older students. For this level, the pedagogical method focused on one-way communication. And because the students are still young, and so they provide one-way communication with lots of learning exercise and homework for learners to practice. But for secondary students, which is grade 7 to 12, it is necessary to ensure more interaction between students and teachers. So the curricula focus on a two-way communication approach. So apart from the DLTV method, teachers were expected to be more active in providing support to learners using different online platforms. By doing so, teachers can respond to the different needs of learners, provide them with feedback, and generate an exchange of ideas. So those are the strategies that the government planned and prepared for students during the distance learning. However, implementing those strategies did not go as smoothly as planned because everything was new, unprecedented, and occurred within a short time. There were many challenges and struggles during those times, which I'm going to divide them into 5 groups. Okay, The first one is the challenge of the overall strategies. Even though the government provide the nationwide strategies, but still there is inconsistency between the ministry's policies and the school practices. For example, the ministry said that online classes were only available to prepare before the semester opened and emphasized that scores were not to be collected. However, in practice, some schools required that scores be collected. Thus, it creates confusion among the teachers and the learners and the practitioners as well. And with the overall strategies, some parents reflected that online learning was not appropriate for children under the age of 15 because they could not concentrate or stay focused on television or phone screens for a long time, and actually it's not suitable for them to just stick with a screen like that as well. So as a result, students' learning would become slow because it lacks learning stimulation and is not appropriate for the child's age. And there also the reflection that the strategies allowed only a short time to prepare, resulting in schools not ready to deliver the teaching as expected. Then challenge number 2, technology and facilities. There were reports such as the online learning sites were often down, so students and parents cannot access to those online resources. And sometimes they were unable to connect to digital TV signals. And of course, for those students living in the rural area, they cannot access to distance learning due to lack of equipment, lack of Wi-Fi, internet connection, and some remote area does not have electricity as well. Then challenge number 3, the teaching learning process itself. Because there were too many homework assignments and exercises, I think this is the result of teachers feeling like they didn't teach as much as they do in the classroom. So it seems like every teacher would like to give assignments or exercises to compensate the small amount of time they have with students. And then the results, the total numbers of the assignments and homeworks from all the teachers, are numerous, and then it really overload our students. Okay, and some schools check and keep score on attendance, which during the distance learning and students staying at home, I don't know why, but the problem is a little unexpected, because it's like when students are at home and supposed to be learning online, some parents don't seem to think the same. When they see the students at home, they cannot, help asking them to do chores or to go to this place and that place with them or something like that. So they cannot comprehend that the available time of the students must be allocated to study. So they kept asking them to help with the household chores or often disturb them. And students could not really attend the appointed class when the teachers check their attendance. Another problem is that teachers find it hard to capture students' interest in learning online. And online learning for lower students still needs the help of parents to assist and make sure that they finish the homework or they study on time. Thus, online classes are not suitable for parents who have full-time jobs or parents who are not familiar with technologies, and elderly parents as well. And from the survey, parents prefer their children studying in the classroom to online because parents need to assist and answer questions from them all the times, and they could not do that because some of them have to work full-time as well. Challenge number 4, the pre-recorded lessons that they are offered on the DLTV. We found that the lessons presented on DLTV often use learning materials in the physical classroom rather than redesigning the materials to be appropriate for distance learning. And some teachers seem to teach so fast and do not explain well, and sometimes even giving incorrect information. And these are the reflection from the parents. Some teachers do not have teaching techniques that capture the attention of the students via online teaching, and this making the lesson uninteresting and boring. This is the response from the students. Okay. And sometimes the contents are not continuous with a curriculum that the school has delivered before the pandemic strike. And the last challenge is students itself. Most students prefer studying with teachers in the physical classroom to online learning. They express the opinion that online learning should be used only as an option, but not to replace the classroom teaching. And if they have to study online, they prefer famous tutors from private institutions to teachers in the school, because they say that those tutors teach with fun and interesting and easy to understand. All right. So now we have covered the second phase of the teaching distance. And now I will turn to the third phase, which is what we do when the schools open, okay? This reopening of the schools came basically from the two primary reasons: that the surveys by the Ministry of Education found that 60 to 70% of students are not ready to use television as the main channels for their studies. And the second reason is that because there was no new COVID case within the country for more than 4 weeks. So because of this, they decided to open the school again. But from our experience, we can divide our reopening of the school into 3 phases. Okay. The first one is what we do before schools open, and then the learning during strict hygiene measures, and the learning after we easing the restrictions. Okay. First up, before school can open, they need to do so many things. One thing that they need to do is that they have to do the school self-assessment and submit the class resumption plans to the Government's Office of Education Commission for approval. So these are the example of their school self-assessment form. And there are like something 40, 50 items that they have to evaluate themselves, which can be divided into 5-dimensional practices. And for example, these are the examples of checklists that the school have to do and to provide before they can open the school again. For example, are there fever screening measures for all students, teachers, and visitors? Are there measures to observe COVID-19 symptoms? And are there policies to request everyone wearing masks while in the school? Is there enough point of to wash hands with soap, enough alcohol gel, or is there a school table, school chair, a seat in the room, and a dining room with a distancing at least 1 to 2 meters? Okay, so if they pass, okay, they will get the green light. And with the green light, schools are ready to open. But if they have yellow, school can be ready after they improve some of the measures. But if they are on the red light, it means that they need to redo everything and reassess themselves again. Apart from that, students also have to do self-assessment form as well. So they have to answer some questions, for example, like, have you been sick for the past month? Are there any family members who have been sick? Where have you visited for the past 3 days? Something like that. And then they have to report to the school. Okay, so many schools use this opportunity to do the deep cleaning of the school campus by thoroughly clean and disinfected the school. So as you see on the slides, the big cleaning has been done in most of the school. And not only that, they have to set up new distance, new social distance, and other prevention measures as shown on the pictures. For example, installing plastic partition in the classroom, in the cafeteria, and they have to specify the social distancing marks at the entrance in the classroom and in other common areas. Some schools even go to like installing the UV disinfection tunnel at the entrance, or providing the the shoe cleaning bath for cleaning shoes before they get into the school. Okay, so once the school received the approval, they now enter the phase of opening the school, which started from July the 1st until August the 12th. Okay, during this period, strict measures following a recommendation by the Ministry of Public Health were taken. At least 6 must-do measures that the school have to practice. Okay. The first one is temperature checks. Okay. The second one is everyone wearing masks and keep social distancing. As I said earlier, they have to be well spaced during break times and in the classroom in common areas. And they have to do hand washing, and the school has to provide enough alcohol gel for the students as well. Reduce crowding, and this one becomes such a big concern because they limit in each classroom that no more than 20 or 20 students in one classroom. So the school has to come up with the new strategies and new approaches to provide the teaching with reducing crowding measures. And the school has to clean desks, doorknobs, playgrounds, and infection-prone risky area twice a day. Okay, so these are the 6 must-do measures that schools were advised to keep. And also, for the schools which have different numbers of students, there are some other strategies for them as well. For example, the school with lower than 400 students, which of course is a small school, then students can attend school as usual, and but they need to keep only 20 students per classroom. For schools with students 400 to 800 students, all levels attend classes on alternate days or weeks to reduce congestion in classes, with 20 students per one classroom as well. And for the big school, like 800 students up, the elementary and lower primary attend school as usual, but for upper primary and the higher class have to attend school all alternate days. Okay, but they still keep the numbers of the students in one class lower than 20 students as well. And the rest of the day or non-attending days, they have to learn from DLTV or online websites as well. I show you some examples of alternate attendance. Okay, the first one, the alternate days is like some class come on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the other level comes on Tuesday and Thursday only. Okay, and some of the school can use the alternate odd and even days like this. So for the green one, the green color, those who are in lower level will attend the school, and on the day with the blue color, the higher level students will attend school. And some may adopt the attend 5 days and be at home 9 days, so alternate weeks as well. And some schools may use the strategy of alternate morning and afternoon school, like the higher level come in the morning and the lower come in the evening, in the afternoon. Okay, I want to show you some real example, okay, from what we do during the reopening of the school. All right, so from the entrance of the school, every child must wear a mask and bring their own personal feeding spoons, personal drinking glasses, and personal towels. They check the temperature, and then they also provide alcohol gel to all the students. And in the classroom, they provide social distancing for the seats, and they clean everything for the students. Okay, so after they take the temperature, if the temperature is higher than 37.5, they cannot get into the school. Okay, and all of the area, common area, has to provide the social distancing at least 1 to 2 meters away. And in the classroom, we cannot have more than 20 students, and they have to wear masks and have the partition, and even in the cafeteria as well, or in the library, we are not allow them, we do not allow them to get together too close, okay? And the school gives special attention to younger kids and special kids so that they will receive the best safety and protection as well. For example, in schools with special students, usually they will join the class with other students, but in the epidemic situation, they set up a special class with 6 students per 1 teacher, so they can be closely supervised. And the survey of students in the Bangkok area during the semester break from COVID-19 found that the students who are ready to study online are older students and not suitable for younger students. For older students who are in senior high school, we found that 80% of them can learn online. But in the elementary and junior high school, only about 50% are ready. Younger students are not ready and actually are not suitable for online studying. With the survey came the application for designing the teaching and learning. Kindergarten to the 3rd grade students will learn full-time, whereas grade 4 to 6 students came to school on alternate days and used the school's online system and on air by the Ministry of Education on the days at home. And the schools finalized 4 on measures. The first one is on hand. They provide exercise and books and give it to the students online, as I said, on air and on site, just as I mentioned earlier. And the Ministry of Public Health still recommends reducing group activities such as sports day or camp day and raise awareness for teachers, parents, and students on self-protection from the virus. So these are the measures that we take during the opening of the school, okay? Now, studying with reduced congestion measure by alternately coming to the school at a different time has proved to be not efficient at all. Children's learning seems to be regressive because lack of social interaction and learning from each other, interruption of the continuous study because of the alternate school days, inequality of access to resource during non-school days, and learning resources not aid for the max distance learning. And parents waste time to guard their children. And however, for parents' opinion, there were mixed responses. Some parents say it's better for students to learn online to prevent infection risk. But some parents, particularly those who work full-time, prefer on-site learning. With those for the difficulties and challenges, so finally, the government agreed to allow school to reopen as normal, okay? And let me see. All right, okay. Actually, it's the correct slide already. So the government agreed to allow schools to reopen as normal. So since August 13, we have already opened school as normal. That means that there is no social distancing, but students are required to keep a daily record of where they go after school, and they are required to wear masks and also practice washing hands often. However, as we observed lately, I think these measures are, are down. Many students don't really wear masks anymore, and then they also don't wash their hands as often. So these are the situation in Thailand right now. But before I end my talk, I'd like to share my own experience on teaching during this pandemic turbulence from observing and interviewing all their students, okay? I interviewed them, and then most of them reflect to me like this. Number one, they think that teaching live via conferencing program is not effective at all. They give the reason like this. Okay, they say that it is really uninteresting, and they can't really concentrate if like teachers would just teach in the same way, but you just have the video on for the same way of teaching. That one is very uninteresting, and they can't really concentrate. And they say that teachers use all material, not specifically designed for distance learning. And this one doesn't help them with the learning at all. Another problem that they reflect is that students cannot communicate with teacher real time. For example, if they have questions, just like now, when you listen to me and you have questions, you don't want to interrupt and raise your hand via the internet connection and ask your questions, because it will interrupting the flow of the teaching. Therefore, the students have to keep their questions and their whatever that they want to ask to relate to the teachers afterward. But the problem is that sometimes teachers do not answer their questions after the class, and so those questions are left hanging without further discussion or further answering to their needs. Okay, but one interesting thing that I found is this. They said they enjoy the well-designed learning videos. Okay, and this one they said that because just like the videos that were designed specifically for the contents with lots of pictures and explanations, and with these videos they can stop anytime, they can replay anytime and learn when they are ready and as many times as they want. And this one actually confirms my experiment and observation as well. This past semester, my students chose not to learn on site. But of course, these are older students in the university, so maybe the contexts are different from what you have at your own schools. But I think my experience can benefit some of you here too. So because they want to learn online, so I designed my classroom to create maximum learning experience for them as much as I can, but of course with trials and errors. So my protocol is like this. I use Google Classroom and Facebook Live chat group, Facebook chat group as a communication platform. For Google Classroom, it is where we can communicate academically. I set up the whole learning outline there, upload learning materials, assignments, reading materials, other learning sources there, just like most of the teachers do, right? And for Facebook chat group, this one I use it particularly for more informal communication, where I regularly update and chit chat with them, not only about the subject, but anything that they want to talk about. And most of the time, giving encouragement among each other as well. For the protocol about production of learning medias, I made newly designed videos content based on PowerPoint that I have, but I use a lot of animation and lots of pictures that explain every step of the way on the topic. For example, if I teach economics, each graph has to be, come out at the animated time so that students can slowly follow what we teach. And then I upload them on YouTube channel. I converted my reading materials to ebook or PDF file and upload them on Google Drive and post it on Google Classroom, just like what you usually do. And for the assignments, I design assignments that can reflect their understanding of each topic using a variety of assignments, including writing assignment, reading assignment, creating self-teaching video. That means they have to teach and then they have to record themselves and show to everyone in the class. They have to record role play if I ask them to do, and sometimes we have game and exercises and so on. So all of the assignments would be voted by students or classmates to select the most impressive work. By doing that, students learn and hear the topic more than once, and that will help them to assimilate the information as well. For assessment and evaluation, students, because they learn online, so I use student self-assessment as a major assessment as well. I don't use exams to reflect their learning, because at each class and topic, they have to do the work that I assign, and that are a lot of work already. So I'd like to ask them to reflect on their own learning. For example, I usually ask how well they understand the topic, what content that they remember well, what content is useful for them, what content they don't understand. And of course, reflection from classmates when they have to vote for the most impressive work as well. And for assessment by me, I take time to give each student detailed feedback, comparing with the learning outcome that I set for each topic. So if they can perform according to the learning objective, they pass. If not, I explain to them what they still lack and so on. And then I ask them to redo the work again. And I can tell you that this one is quite surprising because the students really love this part so much. Sometimes they come back for more. Sometimes when they get only positive feedback, they come back and ask, aren't there anything I can improve, teacher? I'd like to hear it. So this one is very a surprise to me. And lastly, I read the students' reflection from this year compared to the past years that I teach before. And the past year I taught face-to-face, okay, in the classroom. And to my real surprise, these are the reflections from the students that shows deeper understanding of the content. I can feel that the students are more attentive and can get the content out of the lessons more than teaching in the classroom. Why? Because they can elaborate the content further, usually link it with real life problem, and they ask deeper and sharper questions too. And some of the students said themselves that they enjoy learning at their own pace. They're learning in the classroom with some teachers who do not design and pay attention to students' understanding. Okay, so this is the experience of teaching learning during the COVID-19 in Thailand in brief. And I hope by looking at the Thailand's case, you all will benefit from this experience somehow. And thank you very much for your attention.
Wow, thank you so much, Ma'am Saowalak, for your for the sharing of your strategies there in Thailand.
I truly hope that it will benefit you somehow, even though I didn't speak about the teaching strategies, and things like that. But this can be a case study for you, and probably you can apply something in your own context as well.
Yes, ma'am. Surely,
Very
ma'am.
interesting, very unique presentation. That's why I asked that technical group if that is a recorded already, because I want to get a lot from that sharing. Early, no?
So right
Yes,
now in the
sir.
Philippines, you are still,
Okay lang po.
your school is not open yet, right?
Yeah, we are not yet open. We are not yet
Not yet
open.
open. I see. So you can learn from our experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes, ma'am. Surely,
Right.
ma'am.
Right. So what do you think is the most, useful for you if you want to take on some of the approaches here?
We would like to ask Erlyn as the principal, Erlyn Garay.
Right. What do you
Based
think,
from
Erlyn?
the presentation of Dr. Saowalak.
Yeah, please share your thoughts. Yeah.
Unmute your microphone, Lynn. there's Emily. Si Emily, while waiting for Erlin, Emily. Because Emily is saying that you have a very good, nice presentation and unique presentation in the educational landscape of Thailand despite of this pandemic.
Yeah.
Ems, are you still there, Emily?
Gi-appeal pa siya.
Yeah. Because Emily, di ba, you have a very large number of students, 12,000
Yes.
students. How will you apply the sharing of Dr. Saowalak?
Thank you for your sharing, ma'am.
You're
English,
welcome.
no? English, no? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, English. English.
Please,
Oh my
please.
God.
I'm still learning Tagalog, so
as-
I couldn't understand your Tagalog. I'm just, beginner.
as the biggest school in the division and the region,
Right.
maybe we can apply the scheme that you have presented, the alternate scheme.
All the
But
alternate days, yeah.
yeah, but our problem would be how will we have it 20 students per class, right, ma'am?
Right.
20 students per class, so 13,000 divided by 20. So how
Yeah.
the scheduling would be one of the problems that we might encounter.
Yes.
That's all.
That
Go,
one is
Emily. Kaya mo
that
yan.
one was also our problem before as well. But from what I learned from some of the schools, they said that they make use of all of the rooms in the school, like the music room, the gymnasium room, whatever rooms they have available, they convert it into the classroom. But I tell you that it's not really easy. That's why we finally relaxed all the measures of social distancing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
In our school, Ma'am Saowalak, we
Yeah.
have 13,000
Oh,
number of students. So it would be very hard for us to
it is. Yeah, it
to
is.
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, to have all the classroom. Although we can utilize all the classroom, but it will not be enough to cater all the students.
Right. Right.
Yes, ma'am. So
So
that is one big problem for us.
one big
We
problem.
we will
Yeah.
copy your strategy there in
So
Thailand. That
so I
is why
think what we did was that for the higher students, we asked them to come to school less than those who are in the elementary schools, because they need to be like a face-to-face and interactions with the friends and teachers. But for higher students, they can learn on their own. But what I noticed is that you have to really design the learning materials for them,
yes,
because otherwise it's not effective or it's not efficient at all.
yes, true. Here,
We would like to hear
have
from Erlin, an experience from a school principal.
Okay.
Erlin,
Yes, sir. I really appreciate the initiative of Dr. Poki doing those assessment, doing those learning materials from printed to e-book to e-learn. Yes, very sir, very initiative talaga si Doc Poki. And it is very, di ba, sir, our first plan in our learning continuity plan, it is the face-to-face is included. So
yeah,
as our first plan in our learning continuity plan,
continuity plan.
yes, we follow yung alternate attendance ng mga
Right.
alternate attendance of pupils na Monday, this KD and grade 1 teacher pupils will come to school. So because of this COVID pandemic, na-change yung ating learning continuity plan. So mas talaga, sir, mas effective ang learning
Speak in English. Speak in English. Speak in English.
The learning outcome is very effective compared to the online learning, sir. So in the learning outcome presented by Doc Poki, she said that the pupils are more attentive to the content and they can able to elaborate the content.
Yes,
no?
yes,
Oh, yes, unlike in online teaching. So
yes.
thank you very much, Doc Poki.
You are most welcome.
That's good. Sabi ko I told Kathy, if you will not confirm for this engagement, she will be the one to talk. That's why.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
you're most welcome, Teacher
Yes,
Arlene.
very
Thank you.
interesting topic. So I told Sarlito to visit Thailand to see you
Please
face to
do.
face.
Please come.
Yeah, we
Yes.
will.
Please come.
After
Please
the pandemic, we will go. We will go.
Yes, yes,
God
yes.
willing.
Yes.
God willing.
So much, Poki.
Ka. Okay.
Marie Flor Pakurib, are you still around, Marie?
Teacher Marie?
Yes, sir.
We want to hear also Dr. Saowalak, Mrs. Pakurib is teaching in the special education class. We want to we want to hear also what
Right. Wow.
program alternative they're doing now, especially we are facing the pandemic for our special education
Yes.
students, the gifted and talented and others.
Right.
Please.
Good afternoon, everyone, especially to our speaker. In our school, we have our blended class and regular class. The special children, they innovate modules for the special pupils, which it suited to the learning needs of the children.
Mhm.
And they stay at home,
Mhm.
and of course their parents will be their teachers too. We know that their parents, it's difficult for them to teach their special the special child, but we don't have any choice but to accept the challenge as as teachers for their children. But we are here, especially the special education teachers, to assist them in teaching their children. We are in the midst of accepting the challenge in this pandemic time. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Harry. You have been working, in a most highly honored job to help with the special students. God bless you, Ka.
Yes po. That's all po.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Marie. Dr. Saowalak, we have also our indigenous people learners also who are located in the far-flung areas, 21 kilometers away from the city. So we provided our Department of Education in our city, provided radios and flash drives or USB, the recorded lessons for them to hear. While they are listening to the recorded lessons, they have also in their hands the modules where they can follow the instructions in radios. For those don't have electricity, for those don't have the internet connectivity, for our IP learners, indigenous peoples learners in our country.
Excellent, Ka, Dr. Little.
Yeah. And aside from that, I hope our city government also provided all teachers. We have 5,000 plus teachers in our division, provided a cell phone for free and load for 1 year while we are still experiencing this pandemic.
That sounds great. In Thailand, we don't have any cell phone provided for the teachers at all.
Yeah, that's the initiative of our local government and our superintendent.
Wow, very good.
To ease the pain of our teachers contacting our learners, especially for online and whatsoever. So the city government decided to provide free cell phones to all of them, all
All
teachers.
So what do you think about the number of teachers in Philippines who can really use the technology well? How many percent of them? What do you think? Because in Thailand, before the pandemic, most of the teachers, like the older teachers and those who are in rural areas,
Yeah.
they don't use technology very well. But because of the pandemic,
They are forced.
they are forced, and then just like in 3 months, they become what you call that skillful in using the technology, and that is one thing that is a benefit out of this.
Yeah.
How about
Actually,
in Philippines?
sorry. Actually, we have the survey for those teachers who will be using the online or the technology. I cannot memorize the exact figure, but you're correct that those who are already in the professions, older teachers, cannot be adept with the changes that we're facing today. That's why they are forced again to do it, because this is the new normal. This is the new normal. So otherwise, we'll be left behind, or should resign or find a job for
those teachers. For those teachers who learn to use the technology during this time, just like you are forced to learn, can you send a sticker, or then you just post something to let us know on their Facebook Live or in here in the group that you are one of the teachers that also learn through forcing in this situation, right? Can you please do that so that we
will know. We will know also for those who are attending now in the webinar. For those who are experiencing that, the technology, the challenges that you are facing today with the use of technology, you can write here in the chat, in our chat group, chat box, so that we will know. We will know if you have some challenges with the technology. Good for those who are young, who are part of this generation. But for those who are in their sunset already, then please try to write your comments, your challenges in the chat box, please, so that we will know.
The sunset is where the most beautiful ray of light.
Yeah, they're the person with full of wisdom. We learn from them. We learn from them.
So wonderful during the sunset. Yes.
Because without them, we will not be here in our position today.
It's true, guys. Too. Okay. So if there is no more questions, maybe
April, there are other questions from the participants for Dr. Saowalak.
I encourage the participants to ask Mom or our speaker about her talk. Meron bang magtatanong kay Dr. Saowalak?
Yeah.
Or maybe
they are so overwhelmed. They're satisfied.
They are overwhelmed, satisfied, and
thank God for that. Hopefully we will see you in Thailand one day. Okay.
One day soon. If you would like also to travel to Philippines, you have a home here in Mindanao, General Santos City.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lito.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Teacher Erlyn and everyone participating. Thank you so much, and God bless you all, naka.
Yeah, thank you. April.
Okay, Dr. Saowalak, we would like to give you a certificate of recognition. Sir Ayan, please have the presentation, sir. Okay. So let me read to you the content of the certificate. Certificate of recognition is awarded through and grateful recognition of her valuable and unwavering support she extended as resource speaker of the webinar for effective distance education for social science teachers during turbulent times. held on November 5, 2020 via Google Meet at General Santos City. Given this 5th day of November 2020 at General Santos City, Philippines. Signed, Remilito G. Flores, CESO 5, Schools Division Superintendent. Certificate of recognition is proudly presented to Dr. Saowalak Roongtawanreongsri.
Wow, thank you so much, ka. Yay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I
Thank you
live
for
from
your
Nan.
time.
God bless
Thank
your
you for your
webinar.
time. Yeah, we will just send
to
Dr. Saowalak, we will just send your certificate of recognition.
ได้ค่ะ thank you so
email.
much ค่ะค่ะบ๊ายบา
And we will
ย
just inform also the sister-in-law of Erlene and her daughter.
โอเค
Thank
ค่ะ
you. Thank you so much for the time.
บ๊ายบาย
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much.
April, Dr. Professor Saldi is already here.
Okay, sige. Ano ba, Doc? Diretso tayo kay Professor
We will
Saldi.
ask Sir Saldi. Sir Sal, it's just okay nga mag-start na tayo sa'yo na ano or Sir Saldi. Ano siya? Sir Sal, okay na mag-start na tayo sa'yo na
Nakamute
talk?
daw po. Nakamute
Yes, sir.
yata. Ayan, Sir Saldi.
Okay lang mag-start na tayo sa'yo. Sige, mag-introduce na si April. April, please.
Yes, yes, Doc.
Can I share
Sir
first?
Ayan.
Can I share first my screen?
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So, before we have our fourth speaker for today's webinar, let me introduce him first to all of you. Okay. Our speaker is an alumnus of a government scholarship program who graduated with special honors as University Leadership Awardee, Distinction Awardee in Community Service, Distinction Awardee in Public Speaking, and Senator Lauren Legarda Medal of Excellence Awardee for Class 2004 of Mindanao State University, General Santos City, and currently finishing his dissertation for a doctorate degree in education from the Notre Dame of the Jungas University. He is currently working at Philippine Science High School, Sorsogon Region Campus as Special Science Teacher 5 and Language and Literature Teacher and Assistant Chief for Curriculum Instruction Division. Also worked as Executive and Technical Assistant to the Principal at Dole Philippines School, Communications Officer, University Speech and Journalism Coordinator at Mindanao State University, Training and Development Specialist and Officer of Agencies and Organizations related to the empowerment of the youth and education. As proof of his fruitful endeavors in the field of public service, he was awarded as 2019 Outstanding UNESCO Club Young Professional Youth Leader in the Philippines, conferred by the UNESCO National Commission and the National Association of UNESCO Clubs in the Philippines, an Outstanding Employee Awardee of the Philippine Science High School System, conferred at the Philippine International Convention Center on February 2019. The local government of General Santos City has also conferred him the 2013 Jensen Youth Achiever Award, Young Professional category. He also maintained a good reputation in building local, national, and international linkages and networks as a Philippine Youth Ambassador of Goodwill for the 41st Ship for Southeast Asia and Japanese Youth Program, who represented the country to Japan and Asian countries, and an active participant of various international UNESCO and Asian integrated related assemblies and trainings held in different Southeast Asian countries such as Myanmar, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Brunei Darussalam. His past endeavors of organizing professional, development, and advocacy-driven training programs have also allowed him to work with various non-government organizations and government agencies. to talk about effective distance education for social science teachers during pandemic. Here with us today, Professor Saldi Bagios. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me this time.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
of
Yes, sir.
course.
Right. Thank you, April, for that introduction. And thank you, Dr. Lito Adanza, for inviting me again to
Yes.
this very prestigious webinar. I really did not expect that the speakers are coming from different countries in ASEAN, including Japan. And I thought the speakers would be coming from the Philippines, from the Department of Education Region 12. However, it is really an honor to be of service to the Department of Education. I
Thank
have been
you.
trying to I have tried my best to be in the Department of Education. However, I think this is the only way for me to be of service to DepEd by being invited as a speaker. But there's no problem. Uh, it is always an honor and a great pleasure. Can I share screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I want to share my slide. Oh, wait. I think I'm presenting the other. How can I present the slide? Sorry, I'm not really used to Google Meet. No, I know this is your
Present
uh,
now, no? April, present now.
Yes,
And
sir.
window.
just present now, and I should.
Then open your slide.
Kasi when I click present now, it shows here your entire screen.
Open mo yung slide first mo, Sir Sal. Open
Okay.
mo na yung first yung slide mo.
All right. So let me check. Entire screen, right? And then allow. Okay. So I'm monitoring now. Okay. So here we go. I think that's okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, thank you for the invitation. It is, I think this is my second time to speak with the programs and initiatives of Dr. Lito Adanza to train social studies teacher. So it's among all the supervisors in the Department of Education. It is always Dr. Lito Adanza who invites me. I do not know, but I am not invited in the English department, even if I'm an English teacher.
Hala, sorry. Dire ka na lang sa science, social science, oy. Kaya permanente na lang ka dire. Na-off yan. Please unmute your microphone. Unmute. Sir Sal, unmute your microphone. Okay.
Okay, while we're waiting for our speaker, nagkakaroon lang yata ng kaunting technical problems. Okay, do not forget, teacher participants here in our Google Meet and in our live streaming, do not forget to register sa link na ating ibinigay kanina. Okay, nandito na si Sir Saldi. Ayan. Okay na po, Sir Saldi. Kita na po ang inyong slide. Paki-unmute po ng inyong microphone, sir.
Sir Sal? Okay na?
Yes, sir.
Ipatanggal daw ang... Pwede po i-send ni Sir Saldi ang presentation sa ato para kita ang mag-play. Sir Sal, ipaibot sa imong mic. Ibuta sa imong mic. Sige daw, sir.
Yes, sir. Pwede pong ipasa ang kanyang kung okay lang po sa kanya, ipasa po sa atin para tayo po ang mag-present.
Murag duha ang iyahang ma'am. Iya ang ni sir, ang gadget. Ang isa wala.
Duha mong igamit ang gadget, Sir Sal? Duha? Imong igamit nga gadget? Ipaibot sa imong mic. Ibuta sa imong mic. O, ipaibot sa daw ang mic, Sir Sal.
Para iba ang mag-present, sir, para makita niya, makita.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, yan.
Okay, sige. I will present now. Okay, so let me check. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So hindi pala pwedeng dalawa yung monitor, no? I am trying to use two gadgets so that
Sorry, Sir Sal. Sorry.
okay. All right, so here we go. All right, so let me just use my microphone. Okay, can you still hear me this time?
Yes.
Loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. Okay, so I am tasked this afternoon to talk about effective distance learning education in the context of social studies. All right. So let me start with, developing your word power on distance education. Okay, so let us try to have an activity first. I just want you to check your background knowledge about what do you know about this word or these words. So we have distance learning or distance education, webinar, virtual classroom, synchronous, asynchronous. We also have blended learning, discussion boards, learning management system, and then instructional design. Because my discussion will all revolve on these words. Okay, so let me hear people. Let me hear some people who would like to volunteer. What do you know about this word? These words, I should say. Okay, so we have DL. That's the heart of our discussion this afternoon. Distance learning. Okay, distance learning, or another nomenclature for that is distance education. Okay, so let me check the people. All right, so can I hear Gladys? Miss Gladys, hello? Miss Gladys, good afternoon.
Gladys
Hello,
Bonel.
yes, Miss Gladys Bonel. What do you know about distance education, Gladys? Oh, okay. So I think she's not around. How about Alvin? I can see from my screen Alvin this time. Hello, Alvin. What do you know when you hear the word distance learning or distance education?
Unmute your microphone, Alvin.
Unmute your microphone, Alvin. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes. What do you know when you hear the word distance education?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Sir Zalde from Miss Universe Foundation Limited, Dabal Branch. Well, the word webinar, according to the Google, a seminar conducted over the internet.
No, we are not yet done with distance education. The first word is distance education, not
Ay,
webinar.
sorry.
All right.
Excited.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Let's start with what you know about distance learning or distance education.
Well, distance learning education is in a kind of education that is not the setup is not the school but in in the house,
Uh-huh.
and then using the internet. We have two modalities. For example, we have online class, and another is the online class and modular.
Okay. So you talked about online class, you talk about modular. I'm going to talk about that later. So from the chat group, from the chat button, I read here answer from Marie Fakuri, away from the school, normal classroom situation. Distance learning is an opposite of the face-to-face learning. Okay, daming answer ni Maria, no? Very brilliant with the aid of the modules. All right, so thank you very much for those answer. So the next word is webinar. What do you know when you hear the word webinar? What comes into your mind when you hear the word webinar? Can I hear Ma'am Josephine Alioso? Ma'am Josephine, good afternoon, Ma'am Josephine. Welcome to our training this afternoon. What is webinar? What do you know about webinar? Can you unmute yourself, ma'am? Oh. Yes, while ma'am is trying to connect, Irene Amistad said seminars through the web, seminar conducted over the internet or the web. Okay, that's from Priscilla. We also have from Marielle, Pagalan, training and seminars through web platform or virtual and internet usage. Okay, good. All right. From May Sakilabon, a seminar conducted using the web. All right, virtual seminar. Okay, very good. Now, at least you have a background knowledge about the things that we're going to talk about this afternoon. All right. Next would be virtual classroom. No, I really included this term because I have a friend, a social studies teacher, and then she placed at her back the word virtual classroom. Okay, and even if it is a virtual, siguro that's just a background that will serve as her background maybe. Okay, so what do you know about virtual classroom? Okay. What are your ideas about virtual classroom? John Mark Javier is here. Hello, John Mark. Good afternoon from Lagao National High School, I suppose. John Mark.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. What do you know about virtual classroom? What is your idea about it?
It is a teaching and learning environment where participants can interact, engage and with the learning resources over the
Okay.
internet.
All right, very good. So, thank you for that, Jean-Marc. Then we also have from still, no, napaka-active ni Miss Marie Fakurib. Classroom using the web platform. All right. A digital classroom from Jasper, where students interact virtually. Thank you, Jasper. We have from Agnes here. It is teaching and learning environment where participants can interact, communicate, view, and discuss presentations. Thank you for your answers. All right. How about synchronous? Okay, synchronous. What do you know about the term synchronous? May I hear Aimee? Aimee Sabeliano. This is a very familiar name to me. Hello, Aimee. Good afternoon. Can you unmute yourself and tell me about synchronous? How do you understand about synchronous? Oh, Aimee. Oh. We have, sige, April Formentera. Ma'am April. Hello, Ma'am April. She's the one who introduced me. Okay, Ma'am April,
Hello,
what do you know about?
sir.
Yes, what do you know about synchronous?
When you say synchronous, it means the all types of learning. They're all
Okay.
learning together.
All right, so synchronous learning together. I have here from Ma'am Priscilla, from May, no, learning together at the same time, various learning experiences engaged by learners at the same time, online discussion, and organized physical type of learning like F2F. All right, so that's great. Thank you for that. How about the opposite of it, asynchronous? What do you know about asynchronous? What do you have in mind? Thank you for typing in the chat box. I cannot call everyone, but I'm very happy you're typing in the chat box. That's great. Okay, how about Billy, Sir Billy? What do you know about asynchronous? Okay, we have an answer here already. Learning do not occur in the same place or time. All right, modular instruction. That's great. Learning at different time. Okay, how about Sir Billy? Sir Billy, are you there? Can you answer me? Okay. How about Sir Elmer Zarate? Okay, I have here an answer from John Mark. Thank you, John Mark. This is kind of comprehensive. Students do not attend class at a set time, but rather access pre-recorded lectures and digital curriculum materials. Okay. Thank you for that, John Mark. Roldan answered here is the opposite of synchronous, which means happening at the same time. Think of asynchronous as in sync and asynchronous as out of sync. Wow, very nice answer. If we're chatting on the phone, our communication is synchronous. We respond to each other immediately, and when we hang up, the conversation is over. Thank you for that. Priscilla answered, learning at your own pace. Okay, Jola Torre allows students to work on the other space. Thank you for your answer. Billy answered, learning that don't occur in the same time or place. Thank you for that, Billy. Okay, then we have blended learning. How about blended learning? These terms you will encounter later. What about blended learning? What can you say about blended learning? All right. Mr. Zarate, Elmer? Okay, Jasper said combination of learning. How about Elmer Zarate?
Okay. Hello, sir.
Yes, Elmer, go ahead. Thank you for responding.
So, blended learning is learning whereby the students learning through different modalities using virtual and modular and radio.
Okay.
Just like
So,
that, sir.
ang gagaling ninyo, no? So, we have here from Gladys. Gladys said combination of face-to-face, two or more learning modalities, a style of education in which students learn via electronic and online media, as well as traditional face-to-face teaching, combines various teacher learning approaches. Very good. Combination of two or more learning modalities. Okay, that's great. And then we have the discussion board. Okay, are you familiar what a discussion board is? Ma'am Grace Hatriol. Good afternoon, Ma'am Grace. What are you familiar about discussion boards? Nag-stop ata yung mga chatting natin, no? Hanggang combination of two different modalities na lang tayo. How about discussion board? Not familiar? Mm-hmm. It's okay if you're not. Alright. Go ahead.
Discussion board.
Yeah. Priscilla answered here. Ma'am Priscilla answered here. Online discussion site where people can hold conversations in the form of posted messages. That is correct. A chat box, a discussion group, a chat group. Very good. Thank you for that. And then we have learning management system. I know you're familiar about learning management system. Okay. So what do you know about learning management system? Can I hear Jade Don? What a nice name, Jade Don. Jade, what do you know about learning management system, or otherwise known, also known as, AKA, it is also known as LMS. Okay, so what do you know about that, Jade? Okay, Agnes said it's a software application. About Jade? Okay, Jazer John Arsenal. Now, I think Jazer is one of my students in the graduate school. Jazer, are you around?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Jazer.
Hi, sir.
Yes, hello.
Long time no see.
Yeah, long time no see. Yes, Jazer. I can only remember names of those people who really shined in my class. If you did not shine in my class, I cannot remember your name. So you have to do your best to remember. That's why Jazer is one of those. Okay? Yes,
sir,
Jazer.
what was the question, sir? Can you
What do you
repeat
know
the
about
question?
LMS, Learning Management System?
Learning management system. Okay, sir, it is a system that is just introduced to us. It is just used for us in this time of in new normal. I have heard that in our last session, sir. So we get learning resources there, and one of the activities we had critique one of the teaching materials there, sir. So that is a portal, I think, that is being introduced to teachers to help us manage learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jazer. Thank you for that. No? So Jib said a software application or web-based technology used to plan, implement, and assess a specific learning process. Then Marielle Aradillo said a learning management system is a software application for the administration, documentation, tracking, reporting, automation, and delivery of educational courses, training programs, or learning and development programs. John Mark said electronic learning which can be assessed anywhere and anytime. That's great. Okay, and then the last term is instructional design. Okay, what is instructional design? What do you know about instructional design? Okay, so we are now on our last term, that is instructional design. What do you know about instructional design? Dinah said it's a user-friendly. No, I think this is about what do you call this? This is about the LMS. Okay, creation of learning. Jib answer creation of learning experiences and materials in a manner that results in the acquisition and application of knowledge and skills. Thank you for that, Jib. Jasper also answered, it is the entire process of analysis of learning needs and goals and the development of a delivery system to meet those needs. All right, so we have just started developing the experiences for curriculum. We have just started our webinar. However, I have already captured the kind of audience that I have, and I'm very happy that you are very participative. You have an idea with you. I'm very proud. I'm sure your supervisor is very proud of you, and this what do you call this? The schools division superintendent is also very proud of you for having this kind of teachers who are very active and very participative. So I hope you can sustain that participation. And if you have some questions, you can just type it in the chat box, and then we'll try to discuss it. And if you have some ideas, remember the idea. Later on, I'll be introducing to you the 3 C's of online or distance education, and then you will be you will come across why I had this chat group and I had this chat conversation with you. All right, so I am going to present now the contents of my lecture. Alvin, what can you see on screen? Mr. Alvin Makadagom, what can you see on screen? Can you please tell me? So I will know. Sir Lito, can you tell me what is on screen?
What do you know about these words?
Okay, so I am flashing the right slide. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Adanza. Let's talk about distance learning or distance education. That's what we are in this new normal. Okay, and in order for us to cope with the new and better normal, we really have to equip ourselves with ideas, with concepts about how to teach in the new normal, because we should not depend on the availability of the vaccine for COVID-19, because we know that when the vaccine is available, it will take time for us to avail that one. And I'm sure this kind of situation will still exist maybe up to the third quarter or fourth quarter. We do not know yet. Times are really uncertain this time and age. So we really have to equip ourselves. And the very first thing that we have to do is to really attend on webinars like this and try to be knowledgeable about the techniques that we can apply in enhancing, okay, the educational system. And if we are participating in this kind of activity, the very purpose is for us to really improve the way we teach. And if we improve the way we teach, we are contributing to nation building. Okay, so distance education or distance learning, again, very common nomenclature, an educational context where the learners and instruction are not in the same geographical location. Just like right now, we are in remote learning. All right, so at Philippine Science High School, we call our curriculum as curriculum under remote or blended learning. Okay, that's what we call our curriculum, because we really do not allow our students to come to school or to go to school and do some classes there. Okay, so distance education or distance learning, that the term geographical location. I'm sure of that because you are a social studies teacher. All right. Almost always refers lessons delivered via technology, usually via the internet. All right, so what are the challenges that our students are facing right now in the distance or distance education? Because you are already in your first, first month. You're done with your first month of teaching. So what are some of the challenges that our students encounter as of the moment? Okay, so let me see in the chat box. Okay, so can you please type in the chat box, what are the challenges that your students are? Okay, yes, now that's correct, Marielle. Now, Marielle said internet connection. That's very true. Okay, and since distance learning, distance education is highly dependent with internet, good for the Department of Education in General Santos City, because you have this program about radio. I have read about that, no? All right, so that's great. Now you have other options, and then you have printed some modules. Okay, that's also great. So we have here some answers like slow internet connections. Yes, we are riding on the same boat. Ethel, Irene, we are riding on the same boat. We, PSI students are also experiencing very low internet connections, especially, I think there is really a very low internet connection here in the region. Okay. Jib said family affairs. That's correct, no? Because when students are at home, they are distracted, and of course there are so many activities that are being assigned to them. Yes, poor internet connectivity, household chores, that is correct. Power interruption, correct, no? Manipulation of the different platforms, okay, gadgets. Poor economic status, like no mobile load for easy communication. That's very true, no? Because some of our, when we use Google Meet or when we use Zoom, it really consumes a lot of, what do you call this? Data. So no budget for the load, negative bureaucratic behavior of learners, okay? No gadgets. So these are some of the challenges. Let me flash this time my next slide, okay? So distance education can really succeed if we have very good internet connection, of course. But you have another option like printing the module and then sending it to them. We also tried that one at PSI, and we just don't have the radio thing. Okay, the radio system, we don't have that. But that is one of the best practices for DepEd Gensan. Ano? Now, webinar. Let's move to the next term. Webinar is a seminar like this one conducted through a video or audio conference. So what we have right now is an example of a webinar, and usually via the internet. So webinars are often recorded and distributed to a wider audience for those who could not attend the live session. So I think I was informed by Dr. Adanza that we are live in Facebook right now. That's great. Okay, so, webinars are very important for teachers. All right, and this is also one of my strategies in the graduate school. I let my students conduct a webinar for them to be used in, facing the students in front of the audience. Okay, so I really love to attend webinars, not just to speak in webinars, but I really attend webinars. I have one of the webinars I attended is the National Geographic learning sessions. I find it very effective. I already have 2 of that, and presently all teachers of the Philippine Science High School is enrolled with the Ateneo SALT program, and I'll be sharing some of the learnings that I have in that Ateneo SALT program later. And also we have this scholarship. I do not know if I don't know if you have also received this scholarship, but for the Department of Science and Technology, we have scholarship in Coursera, wherein we take some webinars, we take some courses online, and then of course we take advantage of the scholarship, and then we gather a lot of learnings from that. And some of the things that I'm sharing to you right now are coming from the webinars also that I was able to attend to. I highly encourage teachers to really attend webinars, because it's the moment that you stop learning, you die. All right, you stop living when you stop learning, they say. Okay, so of course the pandemic should not stop us from attending webinars. Okay, so how many webinars have you attended so far, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, can you please type in the chat box? Okay, aside from what is being offered by the Department of Education. Wow, Jib has already 25. That's good, Jib. No? So I hope that you will continue. About 20 for Priscilla. Oh, that's great. Okay, so I hope that you will continue attending seminar. I even attend seminars of the in the Department of Tourism. They have a lot of beautiful seminars as well. Okay, so webinar is what do you call this? It's something that is very common. It's a trend this time and age. All right, so let's move now to the next term, which I ask you to define a virtual classroom. Okay, so we are actually inside the virtual classroom this time. So it is a digital space where learners and instructor can interact and conduct learning activities, okay? And then it provides a way for instructor to share media with learners, just like what I'm doing right now, and then hear and sometimes see listeners. So as some of you have spoken a while ago, okay, and then I can see you, some of you who are using your video right now, I can see you, and then record interaction so they can be played back later. So what are some of the virtual classrooms that you are familiar with? Okay, that is my question. What are some of the virtual classroom that you are familiar with or you are familiar of using? As I mentioned this morning, I'm not really used to uh, this one, Google Meet. No, although there were several times that our boss and some of our officials in the Department of Science and Technology used Google Meet to be to talk about important things with us. But most of the time, my virtual classroom is really Zoom. You're correct, no? Priscilla, it's correct. Zoom, Meet, Moodle, Google Classroom. Well, for students who are enrolled at Holy Trinity and at Holy Trinity, they have this big blue button. Yes, because I have tried using that one, the big blue button. That's an example of a virtual classroom. But what is really common this time and age, yes, Emily, you're correct. Zoom, Google Meet. Okay, Google Classroom, Google Meet. Okay, so Marielle and Pagalan said K-Hub. Okay. Marielle, where's Marielle? Marielle, can I see you? Okay. Hello, Marielle. Good afternoon. Messenger chat room. Okay. Si Marielle. Marielle mentioned about K-Hub. Okay. Marielle, good afternoon, Marielle.
Afternoon,
Hello,
sir.
Marielle. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What makes you familiar of K-Hub?
I have two kids studying at the Philippine Science High School, sir.
All right. Yes, correct. No? That is, a K-Hub is not a virtual classroom, but it is a learning management system. That is why Marielle is familiar with K-Hub because at Philippine Science High School, we are using the K-Hub as our learning management system. And embedded in that K-Hub no, is the Zoom. No, is the Zoom, which is an example of what you call this virtual classroom. Okay. All right. So we will now proceed to the next term. The next term is synchronous. Okay. The next term is synchronous. So when students are accessing instructional materials and lesson activities at the same time, that is synchronous. Okay. Might be a video conference or online chat session, or when students log in to watch the instructor deliver a lecture live rather than watching a recording. That is an example of synchronous teaching. All right. Okay, so what are, or have you tried, no? Have you tried attending synchronous classes, or do you conduct synchronous classes? Okay, let me know. Do you conduct synchronous classes in depth ed? I just want to know because I'm not familiar with the way you deliver your lesson, but do you have synchronous classes at the Department of Education? Yes, Zandy. Gladys Zandy. Emily. Hi, Emily. Good afternoon. Emily is a very good friend of mine.
Hi, guys.
Yes, Emily. Why do you conduct synchronous classes even if you have already distributed modules? What is the purpose of your synchronous class?
Our school has this blended class, so we have a group for online learners and modular. So
What we did, what the Department of Education did is to classify students who can participate in the synchronous and then for the
Yes.
modular. So that's how you did it.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right, all right. Um, uh-huh. How long do you conduct your synchronous class, Miss Emily?
I have Google Classroom for the announcement, and then we have our Google Meet
Okay.
once a week for 2 hours
Uh-huh.
free for grade 10. So for
Okay.
screen time.
All right. Okay. So thank you, Emily, for that. Thank you for sharing. No? Well, I would like to share to you what we do at Pisay, and I hope this will help you also, because at Pisay we really have 15 minutes synchronous class only. 15 to 30 minutes meeting with our students. No more than that. Okay. Uh, well, because our schedule is 2 subjects per day, and then the teacher is required to meet the students for 15 to 30 minutes, give instructions, give clarifications, answer questions that are not clear to the students, and what do you call this, answer, discuss a little about the things that should be emphasized to the students. Okay, time is very important. Okay, there should be virtual break from time to time, so it should not be as long as uh, uh, 2 hours. Sorry to say this, but that is very draining for our students. Okay, if we have 2 hours, so what will you do if you have 2 hours? Is you really have to give virtual break to our students. Okay, so if you are really required to give 2 hours of classes to our students, what you will do is to just from time to time. I know, Emily, you know this now because we talked about this when we were still at Dole Philippine School. The attention span of our students, okay? The attention span of our students is depending on their age. So if they are, say, 19 years old or 18 years old, their attention span is only
18
18
minutes.
minutes, right? So if they
Yes.
are in the senior high school, let's say 15 or 16 years old, their attention span is only 16 minutes. Okay, so you have to have a break every after 15 or 16 minutes. And that is still applicable in distance education or online learning. Okay, so you just have to give a break. I'm sure you're giving that, no? Because in the graduate school, even if my students are already adults, they would still require me to give them some virtual break. Yes, tama si Ma'am Mariel. Instruction raman dapat na. Okay. So later on, we will see bakit dapat instruction lang ang ibibigay natin. Okay. So parang the 15 to 30 minutes, Miss Emily, as clarified by Miss Mariel, is the time for us to really give instruction to students, clarify matters that are not clear to them. It's just like a meeting, and then it's also the time for us to check on our students, especially on how they feel. All right, it's time for us to give them mental health support as teachers, because it is expected that they are on an independent learning activity. So it's time for us to give a mental health support. And it is also the time for them to really ask questions, and the teachers will elaborate. Sometimes sumusobra ng 30 minutes yon because the teachers will elaborate. All right? And time to clarify lessons that are not really clear to them. So most of the time we ask them, okay, where are you now in your module? What happened now in your module? What are the things that are not clear to you? But of course, we have different setups, okay? We have different students. So what you're going to do is try to check on your students on that, okay? I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong this time. What I'm trying to say is that we just have to consider also some principles of education. Like the attention span of our students, but having a 2-hour class, there's no problem on that at all. Okay, so sometimes I also violate the rule in our school. No, I go beyond 30 minutes because there are things that I would really want my students to emphasize. Later on, you will see what should be emphasized. All right. Okay, so here we go. So after synchronous, thank you for that, Emily. No? we are now on the asynchronous. Okay, so a while ago, you're right, a while ago when you said that it's at the same time. This time, asynchronous is at different times. Okay, so most of the time of my students, of our student, is spent on the asynchronous classes. Okay, most of the time. So I post in our K-Hub, I post in our what do you call this, in our Google Classroom, kasi hindi lang ako dependent sa K-Hub. I also have Google Classroom. I even have chat box for my students. I even have their mobile phone numbers. Okay, and I also give them my mobile phone numbers in order for me to really monitor their learning. No? So in the asynchronous, this is where the learning really takes place. Okay, the independent learning takes place. And if things are not clear to them in the asynchronous, they can raise that question again in the synchronous classes. Okay, so are we still okay? Okay, loud and clear pa ba? Everything? May question ba so far?
Loud and clear, Sir Saldi.
Okay, so klaro naman yung asynchronous and synchronous, na the difference between asynchronous and asynchronous. Okay, so well, as what I just want to share to you about asynchronous platforms. I really prepared the Google Classroom, okay, because minsan our learning management system, nako, mag-ano tawag dyan, para mag-crash. Okay, kasi nga maraming students ang nag-access ng learning management system. So I have to make sure that I have Google Classroom. We have the K-Hub, the Knowledge Hub, we call it K-Hub. K-Hub siya because it's the Knowledge Hub that is system operated, and then we have the local K-Hub, then we have the system K-Hub. And then I also have the mobile numbers to check on my students who are not really participating, who are not really submitting. So, and then they are also my chatmates in our group chat. So siguro sa apat na yon, I have more than enough platform to really monitor my students. Okay, I'm sure you're also doing that, aren't you? No? Are you doing that as well? Do you come up with chat groups, mobile numbers? I know you are good at that. DepEd teachers are really good at monitoring our students, because you're really required to really monitor our students. Yes, no? Yes, Priscilla said yes, Mariel said yes, Irene said yes. So at least marami tayong asynchronous platform. So we give instruction to our students in an asynchronous manner as well. Now let us move to the next term, that is blended learning. So what is blended learning? A blended learning, you're right. A while ago, you talked about a combination of online and face-to-face instruction. Well, I do not know if you are having blended learning, but it is a no-no for us at Philippine Science High School. We really do not have this blended learning. We don't have face-to-face instruction. We have remote learning. We don't have face-to-face, but we focus more on online. All right, so we only have one. Students will often complete a certain number of online learning activities before meeting in person with an instructor for additional learning activities. One very famous blended learning platform that we have is the University of the Philippines Open University. So they are, I think, a shining beacon of a very effective blended learning. I do not know if you know also of some institutions. Jib said ILMP. What is that? Jib, can you please define the initialization of ILMP? Okay, so individual learning one. I thought it's a university. Okay, so yes, individual learning monitoring plan. Now, aside from UP Open University, do you know, kasi ngayon talagang nag-shift na ang mga institutions into blended learning. So I do not know if you have encountered some other universities nagkaroon silang blended learning. How about in your case? Do you, what do you call this? Do you welcome students in school? Do they go to school? But, you know, I think there is this IATF ruling that they're not supposed to be. There's a policy that, you know, 15 years old and above are allowed to be in, to go to example, malls or to go outside of their houses. But, you know, that's very problematic. Ano? Kasi nga, kumbaga pa naka-cage ang mga anak natin sa loob ng bahay. So, aside from UP Open University, do you still know of some other, what do you call this, blended learning na mga platform? Yeah, MSU this time. Yes, okay, Mindanao State University. MSU for the graduate school. Okay, yes. Polytechnic University of the Philippines. So, blended learning din sila. Yeah, okay. So, well, De La Salle is also having blended learning this time. Okay, so at least you know the concept. Marielle and John Mark, by giving an example, MSU, PUP, or you know the concept of blended learning. Okay, so now let's move to discussion boards. Okay, so discussion board, ladies and gentlemen, is a type of communication platform that allows students to send messages to each other, just like what you are doing right now, just like what you are typing right now. Well, we have a feature for a discussion board, okay? And then messages are often grouped into threads, and most discussion boards are accessible by all students, which is different than some private messaging features. Okay, now, you know, I really find this discussion board as a very effective tool to really let my students talk. Okay, so we have our chat group, and in K-Hub, in our learning management system, we have this forum, not just like this one, wherein I post a question and then students will react, will give their answers, they will type their answers there, and other students will also comment on the answers of their classmates. So it's a very interactive, okay? Discussion board is very interactive. So you don't need to have a very high-tech discussion board. Simply the messenger, now posting a question, for example, or a page in Facebook, posting a question, and then let your students discuss, okay? So what you are forming actually is a community. It's as if you are still in the classroom. There is still discussion there. However, it is in a mobile or a digital format. Okay, so I do not know if you have tried this one, but I'm sure you did. I simply use the Facebook Messenger. Now, I post question there, and then students do react. Okay, have you experienced that, or have you tried that as one of the strategies for your distance learning education? Okay, let me know if you have tried the forum or discussion groups or messenger as a tool. Yes, Irene, very good. So how was it, Irene? Can you share your significant experience about using a chat group or chat room or messenger, for example? Irene, can you share to the group?
I posted a question, and then I let my students answer in the chat, in the messenger.
And then, you know, well, they can react. Students can react actually, di ba? No? Students
Yes po, sir. Yes po, sir.
And then you will see, ganito pala mag-isip ang mga estudyante ko, di ba? So, you para bang you don't limit them with simply listening to, you know, your lecture, for example. You let them react as well. Tapos let the other students, you know, answer also. You just have to establish some rules in the use of your forum. Diba? I really make sure that you know, the language of my students are not really profane. I make sure that they respect each other. Do you do the same, Irene? No? You have some ways to control the language of your students?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Diba?
Kasi mababasa mo man, sir, so kaagad i-check mo na yung mga or ang tawag nun, yung words used nila.
All right, very good. Okay, thank you for that, Irene. How about Ma'am Priscilla? Good afternoon, Ma'am Priscilla. How do you utilize your chat group or your discussion board? Kasi pag very expensive yung ibang discussion boards like the forum, for example, we can just use Messenger this time. Ma'am Priscilla, good afternoon. Can you share?
Hello po, Doc. Good afternoon po.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, so the one I'm going to share is that I'm just having instruction before they are going to answer the module. We don't have the online class. So just an instruction, then after instruction, they will discuss what are the things to do, like that. And some will also send a drop calls like that because they are just grade 5, so they need to do that.
Okay. Yes, Priscilla. Alright, that's a very good
May
thing.
feature kasi yung yung messenger, yung drop call.
Okay. So sa Messenger naman. So usually contact them in Messenger also. You can have Google. You can also have meetings, right?
Yes.
With your students. Okay, that's very good. Okay, what else? Can we have other sharings? No, I'm really excited to hear from you, DepEd teachers. Ano pa yung mga, let's say, how about Emily? Emily, do you have discussion boards as well?
Through Messenger lang, Sir Sal.
Okay, very good. Just want to correct everyone, no? I'm not a doctor yet, and please don't call me doc, okay? Just Sir Zaldi will do, okay? Just Sir Zaldi, okay? So no need to, call me with the title doctor because I'm still finishing my dissertation, and I really don't like add-ons in my name. Just call me Zaldi. That's okay. All right, or Sir Zaldi. That would be okay with me. All right, now let's have the learning management system. What is a learning management system? It's a software or a website that stores and distributes course materials to your students. Of course, this would be possible if your students have internet. So a learning management system is where you place your quizzes, where you place your lectures, where you place your activities, then your students will access it. They are enrolled to that system and your students will access it. Okay, features, a way for students to communicate with each other, such as a discussion board, and a way for students to submit assignments as well. Actually, diretso na yun compute ang grades nila dyan, no, sa learning management system. And then we have Blackboard, Canvas, and Moodle as the common learning management system. Some online education companies like Pearson or Coursera have developed their own learning management system. So as what I have said a while ago, I am into Coursera. It's an online education company, and we were given scholarship on that. And it is for free up to December 31. It's a program of Coursera for teachers. No? Well, I know there are a lot in the Facebook na mga free webinars and training and development activities. All right, so Ma'am Mary, what do you call this? Ma'am Mariel Pagalan, okay. Ma'am Mariel Pagalan mentioned about K-Hub this afternoon. Now, I would like to tell you more about K-Hub. K-Hub is our learning management system. So all our students, okay, we send them modules, yes. We meet them in Zoom. At the same time, we actually let them access the learning management system, which is the K-Hub. So all our materials is at the K-Hub. So even if they are in Lake Cebu, they are in Cotabato City, they are in Kidapawan, they can access our lesson. That is why, Miss Emily, we just have the 15 to 30 minutes na meeting because the materials are already distributed through the K-Hub. However, ladies and gentlemen, meron talagang mga students na gusto nila ng hard copy. For example, I, for one, I want to have a hard copy of the learning modules because I have a problem with my eyes and I cannot really stay long in front of the internet. All right. So some students are like that. All right. Some students are like that. And um, uh, even if we have K-Hub already, we still spent efforts, just like you teachers, we really spent efforts to send them modules, okay? Others, parents picked up the modules from the school. Others would, what do you call this, would have it via courier. And you know, it is really expensive and it costs so much, but we cannot do anything right now because that is really the situation. All right. It's very important that we are going to address the problems of our students. Okay, so the last term is instructional design, and this is where I'm going to focus on because the topic given to me is how to effectively teach social studies. Okay, so instructional design is a deliberate planning. You're right, no? Very good yung mga answers niyo kanina. Instructional design is a deliberate planning and development of educational materials to fit a specific learning context. That means tailor fitting. Okay? So it means we cannot use the modules prepared by people from Metro Manila. Okay? We tailor fit. Even if there is this modules, these are just default solutions. No? We still design, we still tailor fit our instruction based on the context of our students. And you teachers, that is your repertoire. That is your repertoire. I call that as a repertoire. How you're going to design learning for your students. It is your responsibility. What you have coming from the national office are just, we call that one as the guides. No? We call that as a guide. These are not the Bibles that you have to really follow word for word or verbatimly. All right, so I know there will be a lot of reactions later. You can type your reaction in your chat box. But, you know, tailor fitting is very important. That's the trend. You know, teachers, even in the United States of America, even in Australia, they really tailor fit the learning to their students. So if your students are very fast, then you tailor fit your lesson to fast students. But if your students are very, very slow learners, you really also have to tailor fit. That's why you cannot give all the modules and then let them answer it, and then that's it. No, you have to tailor fit. That's why what I do is to really prune, no, our what do you call this, modules. I do not give all the contents of the module, but I try to prune what is really essential. I look into the objectives of the lesson, and then I try to prune. From there, I try to prune. And then what I do is, if students have already understood the lesson, that's where the enrichment comes in. That is where some of the points that I am, what do you call this, presenting, no, some of the things that I did not include in my initial lesson, I tried to give that as an enrichment. All right, so I'm sure you will be reacting on that. Can you please type in the chat box, what do you think about pruning, no, your modules? Because what you did maybe is to photocopy what was given to you and then distribute it to the students. I suppose that's what you did. All right, so can you comment? Can you please do comment? I want to see in the chat box, what are your comments about, you know, what do you call this? About pruning, or about how do you give your what do you call this, your module as it is. So you let the students, para bang uniform ang pagbigay nyo sa kanila as it is. You don't, can you please type in the chat box, what are some of the things that you do to really prune your or designing your, what do you call this, modules. Sige, let's hear from Ma'am Josephine. Ma'am Josephine Alioso. Good afternoon, ma'am. Are you there? Can you hear me? Good afternoon, Ma'am Alioso. Parang busy ata si Ma'am Alioso, ano? Okay. How about Sir Jover Militante? Yes, sir. Module is uniform. So what you do is you just photocopy and then give it away. I think that's what you're doing, right, Ma'am Priscilla, if I'm not mistaken? All right. Yes. Okay. How about Lovely? How about Lovely? Lovely, what do you do with your modules? You just give it away as it is? Okay. So maybe, no? All right. Okay. So we will now talk about designs. Okay. Learning designs. Okay. Where we are. Okay. So learning design is also defined as the process of designing instruction generally involves determining the needs of the learners, defining clear learning objectives, planning learning activities that help accomplish those learning objectives, and designing assessments that effectively determine if the learning objectives have been met. Okay, so lesson planning, they say. Okay, so now, according to Father Johnny Go from the Ateneo SALT program, okay, more than delivery, it is about the design that is very important. Okay, how you design the learning of your student is very important. Okay, he further said that well-designed online distance learning experiences can be just as effective academically and formatively as face-to-face classes, even with a regular class size. Okay, so do you agree or disagree on this? It's the design that is important. I remember before, few years ago, there was this UBD, Understanding by Design. It all starts with the design. So the very reason why some of the infrastructures in different countries were damaged, it is because of the wrong design. So the design is very important. Okay, it's about the design, not the delivery. What matters is not much whether we are online or face-to-face, whether synchronous or asynchronous, but how we design our classes. Okay, before I introduce to you the think format, let me hear from you, or let me have some comment from you. How do you design your classes? How do you design your online learning, or your modular learning, your distance learning, your remote learning? How do you design it? Okay, what are your strategies this time? Because you cannot have the same strategy as you have before in the normal classes. So how do you design? Marielle said, for modular platform, we can't do anything because they are going to work with the modules. But for the blended, we can tailor fit the lesson because we have the opportunity to draft our lesson accordingly, or so that's how you do it, or that's very important. What is important, Ma'am Pagalan, is that you are tailor fitting the lesson. Okay, so we have weekly home learning plan. So Ma'am Priscilla, what is this weekly home learning plan? What do you do with the weekly home learning plan?
The weekly home learning plan is based on the module, Sir Zaldi. So it's a shared plan for the teacher, both the teacher and the parent. They serves as the teacher of the kids right now. So there are the instructions, what to do. So it's just based on the module, and there are also individual plan happens if the pupil has a gap on a particular lesson.
Mm-hmm. So,
yes,
so that includes the strategy. You also teach your parents the strategy on how to deliver the lesson as well.
Yes, sir. That is why we also have the different group chat for the parents, so that we can instruct them what to do.
That's very good. That's a very good strategy, no? What else? What else can you share about how do you design your learning for your students this time? What are some of the best practices that you can share to our what do you call this, fellow teachers? Okay, because we are in a learning community. Aside from Priscilla, aside from Marielle, who else would like to share some of your strategies? Mhm. Mhm. Can we have some more people who would like to share? How about Sir Vincent Malinaw? Is Sir Vincent around? Good afternoon, Sir Vincent. Hello, Sir Vincent. I think Sir Vincent. Oh, we have here from Mary Ann Bustamante. Thank you, Mary Ann. For ABM students, what is the meaning of ABM? ADM. Mary Ann, what is an ADM?
Delivery mode, sir.
Again?
Alternative delivery mode.
Alternative delivery mode, which is?
Classes and weekend classes po.
Okay. Yeah. So can you share what you mean with what you said? We tend to be more lenient since most of them are working. Okay. Yes.
sir.
Can you share your experience, ma'am?
Most of them are around 90 to 95% of our students, because I am teaching in the evening class at Lagao National High School. So most of them are working. So the approach is more lenient compared to the regular students. So if, let's say, if the students in the regular class can finish this or can finish 5 or 4 activities in one session, so we tend to give them more time, and we tend to be, say, tolerant of their outputs, since not all of them have the or has the time to make their assignments and projects and activities, sir. Kasi po, they are working from morning until afternoon, and during the face-to-face, during when we had a face-to-face discussion, our classes starts at 5 p.m. and ends at 9:15 in the evening, and we have one Saturday whole day. So,
I really admire you, ma'am, no, for teaching these students. No, I mean, you know, you are actually involved in lifelong learning of our students. No, the kind of students. Thank you for that, ma'am. Ann Bustamante. We really admire you teaching in the evening.
Yes, sir. I am an advisor at in grade 12.
So you're single, ma'am, or you have a family as well?
My husband is also teaching in the evening class.
So it's just okay. You still meet together, not, and you go home together, I suppose.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So what you did is you tried to prune as well. Am I
Yes,
right?
sir.
You're trying to, this is what is given in the module, or this is what is instructed to you, and what you do is you try to prune it. That's how you design. Okay?
Yes. Yes,
okay,
sir.
for Emily, thank you very much, Mary Ann. For Emily, we need to give our utmost pasensya, the bomb, pasensya, parents sa mga pupils, ug uban pa para lang mag-answer sila og ilang mga modules. Okay, yes, we have to have a lot of that. No? If it is for sale in KCC, I will buy a lot of patience. No? So, I'm making my own video lessons that will help them for their lessons and discuss it during my online class. Marie, what is the effect of your video lesson? Can you share to us? This is, I know because I have tried coming up with one video lesson. It took me the whole day to finish the video lesson. And how did you feel about it, Marie?
Ano yun, sir, makatulong sa kanila na ibalik-balik ko nila, sir, yung lesson.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yung kumbaga ma-refresh sila. Tapos tawag niyan yung siguro makatulong na mapasok talaga sa kanilang mga sa kanilang mga utak yung lessons.
Yes.
During sa para kung may clarification sila doon, I'll discuss it to them.
Okay, that is correct, Marie. No, totoo yan. I am happy that you have suggested that one. I also tried having a video recording for one of my lessons, but although ang Zoom meeting kasi automatically it is it records, no, after. So it's just okay, no? Okay lang, wala namang problema. Babalik-balik kanila agad if I'm going to upload it in our Google Classroom. Okay, so para bang kung na-miss nila yung mga lessons, they can go back to it. All right. Irene, how do you practice interactive learning? You said you practice interactive learning, Miss Irene. How do you do that? What is your strategy? How do you design interactive learning? Miss Irene, can you share?
I am not pretty sure if my definition for interactive learning fits with my own description, but in an online class for me, it is still just like the face-to-face instruction. What is different is we do not see what's this. There is no physical contact, but then I make sure that students are really participating in the discussion. Though there is no physical contact, I make sure that it is still a classroom platform that everybody has to participate. Yan ang aking sir.
Sige, can you cite a best practice, Ma'am Irene? Like just one best practice on how you make it interactive.
I let them I let them participate. I do ask questions and kapareha ng ginagawa mo, sir.
So you do ask Socratic questioning, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Definitely.
So, definitely. Okay, so that's good. That's good, no? So at least you can check on your students if they are still present or they have left already, because we started with 100 people. Now we are 79. So I do not know what happened to other people. Oh, well, I think they have OSB Studio. What is OBS? What is OBS Studio, Ma'am Priscilla? This is an exciting thing. What is this OBS all about?
I use this platform, sir, in making my video lesson. So I have established a group page that will be uploaded by uploaded videos for my lesson. So an OBS is a free application so that you can easily make your video lessons.
Okay.
And you can stream that. You can stream that to any site like YouTube or Facebook.
Correct, no? That's great. Oh, ang dami niyong mga ideas. Broadcasting system, that's correct. No, this is it could be both TV and radio broadcasting system. Now, let me share to you what we are doing at Pisay. I'm not saying that you're going to apply this, but this is one very effective design that we do in order for us to really make sure that we don't miss out anything. All right, and we make the learning exciting for our students. So allow me to present to you the Think format. All right, at Philippine Science High School, we have the Think format. It is an acronym. Nagiging acronym siya, hindi siya initialization. No? I know social studies teachers are very fond of acronym and initialization. Ano ang difference ng acronym at initialization? Pag sinabi nating acronym, you can read it as a word, just like this, think. Alright? Alright. Pero pag initialization, for example, UNDP, WHO, MSU, yan, initialization ang tawag natin dyan. Ang think, okay, it is acronym, acronymity. Alright. Think, T is for targets. Okay? T is for the objectives. Targets, the objectives of the lesson. So basically, we use the, what do you call this? We use the Bloom's taxonomy in determining our targets. The H is for the hook. Okay? This is the part that wherein you are going to engage your students into a particular learning activity. That's the hook. And then the I is the ignite. It is where the content of the lesson is being presented. And the N is navigate. This is to check if they have understood the lesson. Maybe a very short quiz, maybe a one-on-one discussion, or maybe let's say an essay, for example. And then we have the K, which is the not, which is to summarize everything, to summarize the ignite, to summarize the lesson. So T for targets, H for hook, I for ignite, N for navigate, and K for not. So I have here an example of a lesson in social studies, which is following a think format. So the lesson is an introduction to sustainable development goals. I know you're familiar with that. That is UN, sustainable, dati Millennium Development Goals siya, but this time it was changed into sustainable development goals. Okay, so the target, presentation of the target is for 1 minute. By the end of this module, the students will have been able to, 1, define sustainable development goals, 2, examine the 17 sustainable development goals, and 3, classify the goals according to 3 main clusters. That's the T, the target, the objectives. Now, what is the hook? In our hook, we will have a video viewing, understanding the dimensions of sustainable development goal. So all you need to do is to click that link, and then nandiyan na, everything will follow na. So, and then after that, you ask some question. What are the 5 dimensions of sustainable development goals? What are the 3 clusters presented in the video? Okay, if you do not have access to the internet, you may refer to the list below as your guide in the 17 SDGs. So it's very helpful for both people with no access to the internet and people with access to the internet. Okay, so then we have the Ignite. So in the Ignite, this is 10 to 15 minutes wherein you discuss what is this development goals. These are the activities that you will do in order for you to achieve the goals in the target. And then, of course, these are examples of the 17 sustainable development goals. And then thinking exercise for Ignite. And then the navigate portion is a formative assessment. It's a graded exercise, 20 over 20. So examine the similarities of the goals and classify each of the 17 into 3 cluster areas. Identify, so it's just like a quiz, a formative activity. And then the not is the summary of the lesson. Now, what do you think about this design? What can you say about this design, ladies and gentlemen? Can I hear from you? Okay, we can use this in both what do you call this? We can use this in both the online teaching, distance learning, and then even modular activity. Okay, so the think format is something that I would like to share to you. You may not really insist on it, but you can follow the flow of the presentation. That's why it's called the framework. Okay, that's why it's called the framework. Okay, so what can you say about this, Sir Roldan Marpisano? Sir Roldan, nandyan ba kayo? I'm checking on you, Sir Roldan. Are you around? Oy. How about Ma'am Priscilla Oclarit? Good afternoon, Ma'am Priscilla Oclarit. How are you? Wala na ata sila. Okay. So where are these people? John Mark, what can you say about the flow? Mr. Javier, Sir John Mark Javier from Lagao National High School. What can you say about the flow? Yes, Sir John.
Yes, what about, sir?
What can you say about the think format? Is it easy to follow?
I think so. Ang kaso nga lang, sir, medyo parang comprehensive lang siya masyado.
Yes,
so, medyo
yes.
madali sa mga bata.
Uh-oh.
However, pagdating naman doon sa modular, medyo, kasi yung iba, masyado talaga mahirap ma-access. So, yun yung nagiging problema.
Okay, thank you for that, Sir John Mark. That's very true. It's very comprehensive. But what I did actually, as what I have been sharing to you since I started talking, I try to prune them. Okay, what is given to me is the framework, and what I do is I try to prune them. Okay, so try to cut. Yes, Roldan. Roldan, yes, sir, is helpful but not in our school po sa mga bukid medyo mahirapan po kami na mga teacher. Okay. So Sir Roldan said mahirapan. So later on I will be sharing to you some of the ways for you not to not to have difficulty on this matter. Okay, so let us continue. That is just an example of a design which we apply in our school. Now this time I would like to share to you some principles to consider in instructional design for distance learning education. And I learned this from Richard Mayer. Okay. The first principle is the multimedia principle. This is applicable to both online and modular instruction. What does this principle say? People learn far better from words and pictures than from words alone. Okay, again, let me emphasize the first principle. People learn far better from words and pictures than from words alone. What do you think about this, ladies and gentlemen? Agree or disagree with the first principle? Huh? Miss Emily. Miss Emily, do you agree with the multimedia principle?
Agree, sir.
Oh,
Because
go ahead.
because our learners learn in different ways. So there
Okay.
are different learning styles.
Correct. Very good. So kailangan, we have to create visually delightful lessons. Okay? I would like to emphasize visually delightful lesson. Ma'am Rosel Onabia, do you design visually delightful lessons? Okay, yes, you agree with me. Thank you very much, no? Ma'am Rosel. Okay, creation of visually delightful context. Kaya kailangan nating mag-practice how to use Photoshop maybe, Publisher maybe, Canva. Canva, I think one of the latest. Pero pag isa, I forgot, no? Canva yung Creole ba yun? Creole? Okay. Oh, di ba? Miss Makuri means with novelty. Yes, correct. So not only words, no? But you have to have variety. Correct yan siya. So multimedia principle ang number 1. So according to Father Johnny Go, more than technology, it's about learning. Okay, that is why pag sinabi natin, okay, we need technology, pero how do we utilize technology? Eto, I do not know kung klaro dyan sa inyo, pero I will be giving this slide naman to you later on. And I found this, no? Ang pangalan nito is Pedagogy Wheel. Okay. Ito yung mga pwede nyong gamitin. Napakadami nating pwedeng gamiting mga applications, free educational applications that are available for our students to, to make it visually delightful, content plus visuals. Nandito yan siya, no? Ito yung mga free. Of course, others, mga trial version yung iba. So pwede, tingnan natin for example. 'Di ba? For example, analyze. There are 29 apps na pwede for analyze. Okay? All right. So there we go. All right. You can have that assignments. Ayan, quick graph, dragon dictation. Yan. For evaluate, you can have Facebook, you can have Skype. These are free. FB Messenger, TED Talk, Opera Mini. These are examples of so many applications which you can use, ladies and gentlemen. You can even use Twitter, iBooks for understand. Or for remember, you can have Google Calendar, all right, iTunes, o yan, Word. These are examples. O ayan, you have enough educational apps to satisfy the multimedia principle. Okay. Now let's move to the second principle. Napakaganda nito. Ito yung pinaka-favorite ko among the principles of Richard Mayer. I want you to write your comment about this in the chat box. Habang nagsasalita ako, you can share what you have in your mind. Personalization principle. Sabi ni Richard Mayer on personalization principle, people learn better in online settings when you talk with them and not at them, and create a warm, inviting structure. Okay? So when we talk to our students, even to our parents, okay, you have to really with them principle, you attitude. Okay? This is the time that our learners need us so much. We do not know what's happening in their homes. Okay? So share some beautiful stories at our students. Okay? Value your students. Value the personalities of your students. Okay? Student-centered principle. Okay. Well, for example, at Notre Dame, at Notre Dame, we are taught this way. In order to teach children, you have to love them. Okay? So in order for you to become effective teachers to your students, you really have to love them. Total holistic development. Okay? Holistic development. Well, that's what I learned at Dole Philippine School, at University of Mindanao, at Mindanao State University. Total development. And I have internalized all this when I taught at Philippine Science High School, because at Philippine Science High School, we have intelligent students, very intelligent students, but we always consider their mental health and total development. That is why this week, we have our mental health break. Alam niyo naman siguro, yung iba sa inyo, nakabasa naman ng news, no, na there were students who complained, who said, give us a break, Pisay. O Pisay, give us a break. O we gave them the mental health break. Okay? We listen to the voices of our scholars and we really hear them. Okay? So, that is something that is, common, should be common to all of us. Listen to your students. Listen to the voices of your students. Focus on the total development of your students. Okay, so this is one very beautiful principle. Okay, sige. What can you say about this, ladies and gentlemen? Mental health break is badly needed by our online learners and teachers. Yes, that is correct, John Mark. No? In fact, the very reason I was able to accept the speaking engagement of Dr. Adanza is because I was given this mental health break for a week since Monday. No? Parang it's just breathing, no? Breathing. And trying to, kasi totally different talaga ang face-to-face. Even sa face-to-face, kailangan natin ng mental health break. Ano? Ano pa? What else? What is in your mind about personalization principle? We have to talk with our students and don't talk at them. Okay? Very nice. No? It's a very nice well, for me, it's a very nice concept. Okay, it's a very nice concept. What do you think about it, Miss Agnes? We'll have this. Being empathetic to our learners. That's correct, no? Empathy is very important. Whatever subject you are teaching, empathy is very important. That's what we teachers should really internalize. Do not give your students heavy tasks, ladies and gentlemen. Times are different. Do not pressure them Do not, give everything to them na hindi nila ma-digest. At masusuka lang sila. Diba? Hindi nila ma-digest. You really have to prune. Okay? Go to the essentials. Okay? Yes, Irene, I agree with you. Learn to love your students. That's very true. Okay. So, all right. So that's the personalization principle. Tingnan niyo ito, sabi ni Father Johnny Go. There is a triangle. Now, this is applicable for us teachers and students as well. Sa taas is productivity. Yes, we teach them to be productive citizens of our country. But look at the bottom, and it occupies a very big space. The well-being of our students are very important. Okay? It's all about our learners. Well-being, inclusivity, and learning in that order. Start with well-being, inclusivity, and the learning. Sugod yun sa well-being. No? Diha yun magsugod ang tanan. The well-being of our students. And of course, the well-being of the teachers as well. Okay? So more than rigor. Okay? Bisan pa na ata sa, pero sa ako, I'm from Philippine Science High School. Many of you are coming from the best schools in General Santos City and Jensen knowing as the home of the champions. You are expected to perform. We are expected to perform anywhere. That's why we also train our students in a very rigorous manner. But, even Ateneo would say it's all about the well-being plus inclusivity of our students. All right. Now let's move to the interactive principle. What about interactive principle? People learn better when they have more control over the phase of the presentation. Meaning, they take charge of what they are going to learn, what is the proper pacing of our student. And we cannot dictate them to finish this immediately. You may give them a time frame, but that time frame is just their guide. Okay? They have to take control of the phase. Rather than receiving all the information in one big LAM course, it's pretty self-paced. And although you have deadlines, they are merely suggested deadlines built to keep you on track if you have the time. Take note of that, ladies and gentlemen. The interactive principle. Okay? Self-paced learning. And I tell you, most of my senior high school students, okay, they prefer self-paced learning. Of course, maybe it's not really that applicable to the elementary, no, but for the high school students, yung self-paced learning is what they really like. So long as you just monitor them, you give them the time frame, but when they miss out the deadlines, you just have to give them more chances. Okay. Now, kanina I promised that I'm going to give you the essential ingredients on interactive principle. Ano daw ang mga essential ingredients when we make our lesson interactive? Unang-una, we have to have the content. But don't forget the coach. The coach is you, ladies and gentlemen. And the community. Okay? You have to establish a community among your online learners and even those in the modular lessons. What is this community all about? Forum, chat group, messenger. That is an example of a community. Asking you to answer some questions while I'm having a lecture. We are actually forming a community on that. All right. So look at this learning pyramid. Diba? Just to give you, I will not discuss this intensively, pero lecture, reading, audiovisual, and demonstration are passive teaching methods. 5% to 30% lang ang kanyang effect to the students. But discussion group, that's community. Practice by doing, that's community. And teach others, that's 90%. Just imagine that. Participatory teaching methods create ripple effects. 50 to 90% of the learning of our students. Just take a look at this. How knowledge is retained, okay, with community-based learning. So dapat hindi pwede na one-on-one. Okay? Kailangan merong discussion group. Kailangan merong practice by doing. And then, teaching others. Okay, sige. Initial reaction so far? Okay. You will look at this. Yes, sir. We should also make them feel that although we are distant, they have someone to talk to. Irene, that is coaching. Okay? Irene, that is coaching. That's very good, no? Coaching ang tawag natin dyan. All right. You allow the students to express what are on their minds, and by the time you let them speak, they will feel being heard. True. No? So you don't only focus on the content. You are the coach. Okay? And if you listen to them, they feel that they belong to a particular community. They will learn in their own pace. That's very true. Okay, I'm so happy with your reaction. All right, so we're almost done. And then we move on to, don't forget the 3 C's. We move on to the last, principle of pre-teaching. Okay. Kaya nga meron tayong hook, no? Because sabi nga ng principle na to, people learn more effectively when they receive pre-training rather than being thrown directly into the training. So, there should be initial instruction. Dili nga ihatag lang ninyo ang module, tapos na. No? There should be pre-training. So, you can do pre-training for your parents who are receiving the module, or when you deliver your before ninyo magkaroon ng asynchronous meeting, kailangan meron tayong synchronous meeting muna to have an initial training activity for the students so they can work on it independently. So dili pwede nga pasagdan na lang nimo sila. You have to really have a synchronous meeting for the online. And for the modular, you really have to be specific with the instruction that you are giving to the students or to the parents. All right. For fun videos with actors, costumes, and stories were done in an effort to pre-train our learners. You can give them a video instruction, for example. This is just one of the examples that I have given here for pre-training principle. O, tingnan nyo naman itong The Cone of Learning ni Edgar Dale. Okay? So, anong sabi niya? Pagpabasa mo lang sa mga bata, they just remember 10% of it. When they hear it, 20% of it. They see it, 30% of it. So ito yung pre-training activity. 50% of what we see and hear, we remember now. All right? But participation in discussion, giving a talk, doing a dramatic presentation, we say and do, it's 90%. Now, this is similar to the cone, to the triangle of learning that I have presented to you a while ago. Pero all of these, bago pa nila makasay and do, mahalaga na you have to let them read it, let them hear it, let them see it, okay, before they will be able to achieve it. All right, so we are done with the 4 principles so far. Okay, so we are now 82 in the group. What can you say so far, ladies and gentlemen? Any comment? Ma'am Dina Torok-Tokon, can you share? Ano naman yung mga takeaways niyo po sa sinabi ko? Anyone po who would like to share their takeaways before I continue sa aking last part ng aking session po, kasi I'm given 2 hours. So, I'm on my last phase na po, no? Okay, so Ma'am Dina, are you there? Sir Sanchez po. Nandyan po ba si Sir Sanchez? Estrellito Sanchez. Okay, siguro nahihirapan mag-connect. Okay, sige, tingnan natin. Very comprehensive and substantial, Jasper. Thank you very much for your appreciation. You're building a community between your teacher and you. Okay, so very good, no? So sana makatulong sa inyo yung 4 principles na yon. Okay? So kanina pinakita ko sa inyo paano kami nagde-design ng learning sa Pisay with we have the Think format, and you said it's very comprehensive, but I believe the 4 principles of learning of online or distance education would really help you in making or designing your lesson in a very effective manner. Okay, so let me now continue now with the 3 shifts in online distance learning in the new normal. Okay. Dati, this is according to Father Johnny Go of Ateneo, dati sa face-to-face, we have sessions in weeks. Tapos meron tayong contact time, di ba? For example, 1 hour. And then we focus on the KSA. That's knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Pero we have to shift this time. We are more on modules, we are more on learning times, and we are more on competences. Okay, so iisa-isahin ko ito siya. So, so what I have introduced to you, the Think framework. How should we design the module? So the module should be flexible. Hindi siya Bible. Take note of that. All right. So flexibility is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Hindi na kung yan ang binigay sa'yo, yan na agad ang ibibigay mo and you will insist on that to your students. No. Okay? So, these are just guides. Learning guides, modules, must be flexible. These are just guides. You have to design the learning the way you see your students will really learn the lesson. Okay. So napaka-aktivista ko, ano? Siguro pag nakikinig si superintendent sa akin, he will disagree with me. Pero you have to really be flexible. Okay? Flexibility is really very important. Now, let's talk about learning time. Dati, we have class hours. This time, we have learning hours. What are these learning hours? Okay. Okay. The learning hours are the estimated amount of time that the student is on task. So, it's not with the teacher, not online, not even on screen. Okay, so this is the asynchronous learning. All right, so now, when we say learning time, it's reading an assigned reference material, watching or listening to the live or pre-recorded lecture, participating in a discussion, working on an individual or group project, or taking an assignment. So that's a learning time. So why do I need to emphasize learning time? You have to visualize the learning time of your students before you actually give them the the learning activity, the learning module. And even the deadlines, okay? You have to imagine, no? Anong oras kaya gumigising ang aking estudyante? Pagkatapos, anong oras kaya? Kailangan niya mang maligo, kailangan niya pang kumain, kailangan niya pang alagaan yung kanyang mga kapatid, kailangan niya i-check, timplahan ng gatas sa kanyang mga kapatid. O before he or she will do the actual learning, diba? So you have to imagine that before you give the bulk of work to your students, okay? So remember the learning time. All right, now, the third aspect, the third shift is competence. Dati, KSA tayo. Knowledge, skills, attitudes. But this time, we are dealing with, we're dealing with competence. In this time of COVID, our focus is on the competence. Competence is defined as what we hope our students will acquire at the end of the quarter or of the year in a subject area. So they can use the acquired knowledge, skills, and attitudes beyond the classroom. Okay, so huwag niyo munang isipin nyo na, dapat memorize. Dapat meron talaga yung skills na to. What you will think about is the competence. So, katulad nito, for example, it is competence, one of the competences of our students to evaluate whether a historical account is a sound interpretation given all available sources and even incomplete or contradictory data. I am actually, this time, I'm really engaged with, knowing more about monarchies. Okay, so that is why I am looking into movies like the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher. Okay, I'm looking into Netflix series, the Crown, where I get to know Lilibeth or Queen Elizabeth. I'm into that. Okay, so para bang nakaka-relate ako ng masyado dyan, no? So, what is the needed knowledge? Of course, historical figures, dates, and events. Okay? And then the needed skills, find and evaluate primary and secondary sources. So, the knowledge and the skills here, dapat itimplahin mo talaga in order for your students to gain the competences that they need. All right? So kumbaga pa, at the end of the lesson, ano bang gusto mong mangyari sa mga estudyante mo? Huwag ka lang magpataka ng bigay na kung ano-ano dyan. Diba? So you really have to, tailor fit everything to your students. Kaya nga, yung sinabi ko kanina, you have to prune. Okay, so now, allow me to end with the time-tested models in the new normal. Meron po tayong dalawang time-tested models in the new normal na kahit hindi pa new normal, ay alam na natin ito. And also, pag sinabi nating time-tested, ibig sabihin, even if we are in the old normal, ginagamit na natin ito. And for the new normal, in order for us to cope with the new normal and to be better equipped with the new normal, kailangan po, alam natin ang model na to. Ang first model natin is the TPAC model. Okay. I first learned, teacher ako, pero it was Dr. Castino who introduced this to me. You know naman, Dr. Castino, my best friend, the best friend of Sir Lito as well. Okay, so the TPAC model is technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge. In between technological and content knowledge, kailangan, in between technological and content, meron kang tinatawag na technological knowledge. In between content and pedagogical, meron kang pedagogical content knowledge. And in between technological and pedagogical knowledge, meron kang technological pedagogical knowledge. TPK, TCK, and the PCK. Okay. Mga kababayan ko, ladies and gentlemen, no? Itong TPAC na to, anong ibig sabihin nito? Simple lang po. As teachers, you have to know the content. What to teach your students. Okay. Second, you have to know what technology to use in order for you to deliver properly the lesson to your students. If you know the technology to be used and the content to what to teach and the technology to use, you have that technological knowledge. Pedagogical knowledge is how to teach it. What is the strategy that you are going to use in order for you to successfully deliver the lesson? We call that one as pedagogical knowledge. What are the strategies that you have? Even the best doctors, the best engineers in town, no? They know the content, but they don't have the pedagogies, ladies and gentlemen. They cannot effectively teach. Okay? Yes, they have the content, pero ang pedagogical, that is our repertoire as teachers. We have to claim that, no? The pedagogical knowledge is something that is unique for the teacher. Yung strategy na yan, no? According to Dr. Mingo of the Notre Dame of the Diangas University, no? Tuogi ko sa iya, pag-ingon niya, when she said, no? Strategy makes the teacher different from other professions. Karang mga lawyer, karang mga engineer, karang mga mathematicians, mga chemists, mga historians, they have the content knowledge, pero patudluan na sila. They don't know how to teach, they do not know how to cascade, and they do not know how to develop the competencies of the students. You teachers should develop that pedagogical knowledge. And of course, para hindi kayo ma-left out, ladies and gentlemen, kailangan meron kayong tinatawag na technological knowledge. So bisag tiguang na mo, you have to practice. Another one is the SAMR model. I learned this SAMR model. No? Sabi nila, SAMR stands for substitution. So substitution is technology acts as a direct tool substitute with no functional change. Example, the use of Google Earth instead of an atlas to locate a place. That is substitution. Pero dapat makaabot gid mo sa redefinition, dili lang sa substitution. Basig karon nga level, substitution lang ta, no? I-change lang nato, no? From face to face to modular, from face to face to online, di ba? But mao lang gihapon. They have to develop this augmentation. Augmentation technology act as a direct tool, substitute with functional improvement. For example, the use of Google Earth rulers to measure the distance between two places. Then, the M for SAMR model is modification. Technology allows for significant task redesign. Use the Google Earth layers such as panoramio, and 360 cities to research locations. And the last is redefinition. Create a narrated Google Earth guided tour and share this online. Diba? May kaabot jud ka sa creation. That's redefinition. This is a SAMR model. Okay. Now, it's almost 4 o'clock and I would like, one minute more to go. I know all of us are stressed. I myself is stressed. I am into student affairs. I have 3 subjects. I'm teaching 3 subjects, and I am into a lot. There's a lot of things in my plate. Okay, but let me end this. In order for us to be effective teachers, nandyan din yan siya sa 7 habits of highly effective people. Ang sabi ng 7 habits, yung pinaka-last habit na is sharpening the saw. Diba? Sharpening the saw. Unya, paano nimo i-sharpen imong saw if you are stressed? So I would like to share this very beautiful verses from the Bible. Sorry for the Muslims, but I would like to end verses from the Bible that would help us nourish our spiritual man. Because if you are an effective teacher, even if, ladies and gentlemen, you have the technological knowledge, you have the pedagogical knowledge, and you have the content knowledge, if sabog ang iyong pagkatao at ikaw ay pagod na, you will never be an effective social science or social studies teacher. Okay, sabi ni Matthew 11:28-30, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavily laden, and I will give you rest." That's a very beautiful promise of God, no? "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Very beautiful promise of the Lord Jesus Christ for the people who are very tired of the online modular. We teachers, we are very tired. I know that. Please remember this verse. Second, 1 Peter 5:7. It's another promise. "Casting all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you." That is a promise. Kabalugin mo, Ana, how powerful the Bible is. Philippians 4:6 said, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." So, unsa lang man ang inyong mga request. Gamay ra na siya, no? Para sa Ginoo. And Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all things through Him who strengthens me." All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are tired as teachers. We are tired with our life. You know that one. And kanina, you said, kailangan nyo rin ng mga mental health break. But I hope this lesson would be something that will, refresh you. And these verses will be your guide as you continue to teach and be beautiful people of God and ready for, anong tawag nito? More challenges, because we are again living in the time of uncertainty. Okay, sige, for the last, I would like to ask 3 more minutes from the participants, no? Kasi I'm supposed to end at 5 o'clock, but I started at 2 o'clock. My 2 hours is done, but let me just ask for some of your takeaways. No? Mahalaga ano yung mga takeaways ninyo sa lesson natin ngayong hapong ito. I know we will be going home early, but what are your takeaways from the lessons that we have? Okay, so maraming nagsabing amen. Hindi po ako pastor, ha? Okay, I just shared to you the beautiful verses that I considered as my guide, okay, in order for me to continue with my teaching career, even if I am so pressured, no, already. I have a lot of things to do. And I know, just like me, you are also like that, no? Mama Yet Ramos, ano po yung takeaway ninyo? Meron po ba kayong takeaway sa hapong ito? Ano po yung pinaka nag-stick po sa mind ninyo? Yan pa ba? Diyan pa ba si Mama Yet Ramos? Hello, Mama Yet. Okay. Sige, I will ask Maria Elena Prihel. Ma'am Maria Elena, magandang hapon po. Ano
Hello,
po
good
yung,
afternoon po, sir.
yes, ano po yung mga takeaway ninyo sa akin?
Ito naman yung last part po talaga, yung nagtatak po talaga. It's yung mga verses po na ibinigay mo. Lalo na po talaga in this challenging time po talaga, we teachers, we really need to be mentally strong and spiritually strong kasi ang dami-dami po talaga mga challenges. And may mga anak din po kami na inaasikaso aside from other and then this is really a guide for us not to give up and to keep on to be faithful to God. Ito po yun, sir, and thank you po sa mga
Yeah, oo. Kasi nga, di ba sabi ko sa inyo, meron man tayong technological, pedagogical, uh, uh, and content knowledge. Pag masyado namang mahina yung ating soul, yun naman ang hindi pa rin tayo magiging effective. Diba? Hindi pa rin natin ma-achieve yung ating mga goals. Di po ba? Okay, so we have here Mama Yet. Yes, Mama Yet, I understand, no? Takeaway is that we should give value to free thinking even in the time of pandemic. Yeah, oo, kasi po, knowledge is power, they say, Mama Yet, no? Diba? Knowledge is power. Okay, so marami pong knowledge, nagbabago-bago po ang mga information. Diba? Kahapon, what you call that? Kahapon, ganito ang information. Ngayon, iba na, diba? So, nagbabago po ang information and we really have to have free learning and free thinking in this time of pandemic. And I'm so happy po that you were able to share that one. I should love Irene. Saan si Irene? Ma'am Irene, napakaganda po ng sinabi ninyo. I should love my students and cast my burdens to Him. Tama po yan. No? Ito po yung palagi kong sinasabi. Sorry sa mga Muslims, no? But you have to teach like Jesus. Okay? You should look into the characteristics of Jesus. Sa ano po, sa learning theories po natin, mga pinag-aralan po natin, mga educational theories in the past, one of the best teachers po, or the best teachers in fact, na tinuro sa atin, is si Jesus. Okay? So, you have to really cast your burdens on Him and you have to teach like Him. So, Jesus is very patient. Jesus is very loving. Jesus is, very considerate. So, if you are, no, if you are not considerate, think again, no? Think like Jesus, teach like Jesus, speak like Jesus. Okay? So blessed to hear you giving those essential skills to sustain teaching during pandemic. Welcome po, Ma'am Pagalan. Student ko po si Alan David Pagalan. I'm sure anak niyo siya. Okay. So no mic. We teachers should be flexible and always ask the guidance of our Almighty. Tama po yan. Kahit po magaling kayo na teacher, kahit po gaano tayo kagaling na teacher, if you don't have guidance from God, ganun din po. Teaching is intricate and difficult profession, but it is fulfilling one. Thank you, sir. God bless. And God bless din sa iyo, ma'am. No? We teachers should be flexible. Okay. Irene, all of our efforts is not only for our students, but for our own efficiency and effectivity as teachers. We should be lenient and flexible and also consider the status of our students in this time. Correct po yan, no? Kasi this time po, you have to remember it's really difficult. Ako nga kanina nahirapan akong pumasok sa Google Meet, no, 'di ba? How much more your students? No, I mean, it's really challenging. Even pa sabihin natin na magaling na tayo sa Google Meet, magaling na tayo sa Zoom, magaling na tayo sa mga learning management system, alam natin paano ang paggawa ng mga modules, for example, hindi po yan siya be all and end all kasi po ang napakahalaga dito at ang number one victim po natin at ang mga number one victims natin are our students if ever we will fail. Diba? So we really have to be very considerate to our students, ladies and gentlemen. Kasi naging students din tayo and it's so hard for us to be students as well in the past, especially mathematics. I really, had a hard time with mathematics. Okay, sige. Thank you po, Sir Zaldi. You're welcome. I learned that aside from feeding your minds with concept, we need to schedule, yes, stress debriefing, psychological assistance for them. That is very true. Wag po puro content. Okay? Kailangan po meron talagang mental health break. Okay. Thank you, Sir Zaldi. Thank you so much. Sir, you did not only enrich us. Okay, so you are welcome. Everyone, you're welcome. So I would like to end my lesson on that, my 2-hour webinar with you. Again, I am so honored to be of service to all of you, especially to my good friend, Dr. Lito Adanza. I will always be available for you. No, I will be available for trainings like this. This is one of the ways for me to have a mental health break, to be honest with you. All right? Now, this is a way for me to really, sharing with people is a way for me to have a break with all the stresses I have in my work. So thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you learned so much this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
Sir
much,
Saldi.
Sir Saldi. Sasabihin na ba namin, Sir Saldi, sana all by mental health break.
April, ano yung takeaways mo, April?
My takeaway is that, nakalimutan ko na sa...
Si Alvin, nag-open na siya camera sa Sir Saldi, kaya masig tawago na po daw niyo siya.
Ang dami ng information na binigay ni Sir Saldi. Thank you,
Takeaways,
Sir.
ako ang certificate of participation, be. Alvin, your takeaways. Ako, ang takeaways na ako is...
How about you, Doc Lito? What is your takeaway?
Ang dami kasi religious ang last part ng sharing ni Professor Saldi. So sa akin naman is, what does it profit a man if he gain the whole world and suffer the loss of his own soul?
Yeah.
These words do not have meaning to any masses who never raise their eyes to heaven. Much being absorbs all their energies and become an end in itself. Friends, most of man's mental and emotional problems are spiritual in nature. Problems between individuals are caused by wrong spiritual attitude. Peace and progress is God's message to the human race. For what is peace without love? Peace is the result of progress and unity among men. The spirit of sharing and reconciliation means loving our Creator. With God, all things are possible. He is the answer. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you so much.
That's my takeaways. Ay, nako.
Thank you so much.
Grabe, Saldi. Punong-punong kami. Super. Unin pa natin si Saldi, sabi ko, we have still remaining 2 webinars this coming Sunday. Bakit Sunday? Kasi yung speakers natin from Kingdom of Cambodia, kasi face-to-face na sila, so bakante sila Sunday. We have also from Fuji, Japan, so Sunday available din siya. At saka yung isa from Bangladesh, yung professor from Bangladesh, okay sa Sunday. So kaya meron tayong isa ngayong Sunday, at saka isa pa ngayong 12. So after that, pahinga muna tayo din. We have 2 coming, 2 na lang na seminar for this year para 6 talaga na webinars ang napasukan nyo for Araling Panlipunan ng Social Studies teachers. Pero tama talaga si Saldi. Di basta-basta mag-organize at even maggawa ng design, contacting the speakers kasi you have to consider their time, their efforts, so on and so forth. And of course, we need to have the approval of our superintendent. So yun ang sa part ko. Pero after kasi nito, we have still 2, mayroon pang 2, so we need to i-finalize ko pa ang design, tapos kunin natin si Saldi bago mag-end ang year para another speakership ni Saldi para yung sabi nga niya, yung ma-release yung mga mental stresses niya, so dito na niya ilabas sa atin sa social science at sa Panlipunan group. So thank you, Sir Saldi, for the time. Grabe, pag sabi ko, pwede kita kuning speaker, automatic talaga, my goodness. Oo. Grabe ang hapon na ito, punong-puno tayo. Kahit wala ko sa naka-open ng camera, nakikinig lang ako dito. So nataranta si Alvin, kaya automatic tawago na. Sabi ko, my goodness, natakot si Alvin. Nag-off siya ng cam para siya matawag ni Sir Saldi. Ay, nako. Punong-puno talaga.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Sige, April. Because we have a meeting, Sir Sal, we have a meeting at exactly 5 o'clock also. Yung speakers for Sunday sa mga from international schools, makipag-met talaga sila virtual this afternoon 5 o'clock. So after this, mag-rest muna kami. ang TWG, then 5 o'clock pasok na kami for another virtual meeting. Thank you.
Sir Litoy, award na natin ang certificate of
Yes,
recognition
please.
to Sir Zaldi Bagios. Sir Ian Morante, please, sir, have the presentation. Sir Ian. Kasi hantod karon handok si Sir Ian kay tawagon ni Sir Zaldi. Ayan na. Okay. Ka-present ka na ba, Sir Ian?
Yes, ma'am. Nag-present na, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So we would like to award the certificate of recognition and grateful recognition for his valuable and wavering support he extended as resource speaker of the webinar for effective distance education for social science teachers during turbulent times, held on November 5, 2020, via Google Meet at General Santos City, given this 5th day of November 2020 at General Santos City, Philippines. Signed, Romelito G. Flores, CESO 5, Schools Division Superintendent. Certificate of recognition is presented to Professor Saldi P. Bagios. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, April, and thank you, Dr. Lito.
Thank you. Thank you. We will send that certificate to you sa Facebook or sa email mo, Sir Salde.
Yeah, that's in the Facebook, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Salamat.
Okay.
TWG, paiwan mo na sandali. Urgent.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's it for today, teacher participants, and for those who are in our live streaming. Yan po ang ating 4 na speakers sa ating webinar for today. Okay, so I hope that you learned a lot. You gained knowledge a lot from our speakers. Speakers na mga international speakers from Thailand, from Japan, and of course from our country. Do not forget registration and of course evaluation. John Mark, please send the link, sir. Box.
Okay na.
Po ng mga participants.
John Mark. Na ba si John Mark? Si Jay, sir? Thank you, participants. May I ask the TWG na magpaiwan mga sandali?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sir, dito po tayo tapos, sir. We have our closing prayer.
Sige.
Okay. So before we end this webinar, let's have the closing prayer. It will be led to us by Sir Alvin.
Thank you, Ma'am April. Okay, let us bow down our head. Thank you, Lord, for a successful seminar. We know that you have blessed us against this success. You keep blessing us as we go out of this virtual seminar and apply what we have learned in our profession. Grant what we do is fully aware that it is not ourselves that it will learn, but the service of other people. Make us realize that all our actions and plans should be done for a greater glory. Shower us your divine guidance so that we would decide wisely and properly. May you send your Holy Spirit so that we would have no fear in meeting challenges that our everyday lives entail. Make us realize that without you, we are nothing. All this we pray and offer to you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sir Alvin. Thank you, participants, teachers from the different districts of this division. Thank you so much. Dito na po nagtatapos ang ating webinar. Be safe and God bless everyone.
Paiwan muna, TWG. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Ito ay kaigang ulan. Jay, sir, and Mark, please.
Yes, sir.
Tapos makapahinga pa tayo ng mga ano, ilang
30 minutes.
or mag-ano na lang siguro tagkuan.
Katong sa link tanang na imong gihatag, sir.
O kadto na lang sa B kay para sige babay ta na dire.
Oo.
Ito na lang ta, sir.
Opo.
Okay. Bali na, sir.